Highly productive people have certain habits that other people don't. What are they doing that sets them apart? How are they getting so much done and achieving their goals? We all want to be successful, but what are we doing wrong? Here are a few habits you really need to avoid if you want to get on track with being highly productive. Habit number 1, not seeing the bigger picture. In the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, author Stephen R. Covey states that beginning with the end in mind can help you envision what you are trying to create. First, you see it in your imagination, and then it becomes a physical reality. Once you can see the bigger picture, then you can begin to break the process down in steps to see exactly how you're going to get there. Visualizing the end goal helps you keep your eye on the prize. If you get discouraged or have a setback, focusing on the final project can help you get back on track. When you stand back and see the project in its entirety, it's sort of like a puzzle. All of the pieces start to take shape, and you can see what you need to do to put it all together. If you are putting together a real puzzle, would you start with the borders? Would you put together a basic structure that frames the picture you're looking at? Or would you first gather all the similar colours and put them in batches? Formulate a basic plan that helps you see the picture you are creating. Then the next question might be, which process or task really is the best starting point? Habit number 2, working without priorities. When deciding what steps to take to reach your end goal, highly productive people don't waste time on details that bog down the process. Streamline your path, putting the most important priorities first. Think of a stone path crossing a babbling brook, and assign a top task to each stone. Take one step at a time until you've crossed the brook successfully, avoiding side steps that pull you away from your path. If your energies are scattered by every little thing that comes floating by, you'll find yourself stuck. Stay focused on what's important. Highly productive people know that doing one thing, and doing it well, before moving on to the next task, will allow them to get more done in less time. They see their time as extremely valuable, and don't waste it on things that are not going to move them closer to their goal. When you prioritize your tasks, you can see the progress unfolding as you go. And the most important thing that you start with will give the entire project wings. Each subsequent action falls into place as the previous task takes shape. Habit number 3, procrastination. Author Mark Twain wrote, "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." True as it is, it can be the hardest thing. If we wait until the time is right, or you're finally feeling inspired to begin something, you could be waiting a very long time. Many factors can pull us away from beginning our project. It could be we don't quite know where to start, or maybe other obligations are calling us away. Maybe we don't have the confidence that we can do it. And then our phone goes off, and there's another reason to switch our attention elsewhere. Highly productive people don't wait for the perfect moment to do something. Setting a specific time each day to work on your project can assure that you will take that time to do it. Or setting a timeline for when each task will be completed can help motivate you to get started. Breaking it down in this way can be less overwhelming and make it easier to begin. Even if you don't accomplish as much as you wanted to at first, try again at your next session. Slow going is better than not going at all, and the more you do, the better you'll get at it. And eventually, you'll reach your goal, but you have to start to finish. Habit number 4, working long hours without breaks. Put yourself first. You can't do your best job if you're depleted in energy, both physically and mentally. If you take care of yourself, you are better equipped to be in top form to do the job at hand, and also be available if the game changes or something urgent comes up. Most experts agree that the ability to focus wanes after about an hour or so, and then you will start to notice a drop in your productivity. So if you're not producing, you don't need to work harder. You need a break. Take at least a 15-minute break to give your brain a rest and be ready to do more of your best work. And by the way, taking a break doesn't mean checking your emails or scrolling through your phone. Take real breaks where you feel refreshed and nourished afterwards, like meditating, taking a quick power nap, or a walk in nature. Even spending a little time in a garden can be relaxing enough to clear your head. Your brainwaves change throughout the day, depending on your level of activity. Alpha waves occur when you're feeling basically calm and relaxed. When you go back to work, your mind speeds up to make decisions and focus on information and problem solving. At this point, Your brain waves will adjust to beta or gamma waves. Changing up your mindset and working conditions is vital. No one is productive if they are stuck in overdrive for long periods of time. Working consistently, but not constantly, is the key. Stay on course and continue to follow the plan in a methodical and organized way to bring the best results. By recharging your batteries, you are energized to give the work your full attention. American novelist Anne Lamott once stated, "Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you." Habit number 5. Listening to naysayers. To be highly productive, you need to focus on what you're doing and stick with it. If you listen to all the input from every source, you could be drawn away from your plan. Not to say you can't receive and appreciate feedback and positive suggestions at times, but beware of the negativity vampires who suck your energy, waste your time, and leave you doubting yourself. Sometimes it's best to not even discuss your plan, in order to keep people from discouraging you before the project ever leaves the drawing board. If people are telling you it can't be done, you may start to believe it yourself. Some people only see obstacles and problems. If they're not helping you to find solutions and make progress, you might want to just tune them out. Never be limited by other people's limited imaginations, says American engineer, physician, and former NASA astronaut Mae Jemison. If other people can't see the vision, they'll have limited ability to help you build it. If you do need help, find someone who can offer support and commitment to bring the project to fruition. Highly productive people have a plan, set priorities, and make steps to carry out their tasks. They are not sidetracked by obstacles and other people's opinions about what they're doing. In Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle is the Way, he reminds us of what Marcus Aurelius said about things that seem to block our advancement. Sometimes the obstacle can not only be used, but maybe even necessary. In all endeavors, there will be challenges. There will be things that seem like a good idea, but then do not end up producing the result you were hoping for. All that means is that you need to go to plan B. There is no substitute for persistence, and if you want to successfully meet your goal, you have to keep going. Find another way to make it work. The great inventor, Thomas Edison, said, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." Highly productive people find a way to get started, and they find a way to not give up. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Procrastination. The dictionary defines this as something we delay or postpone that should be done. Sound familiar? We've all been down that road at one time or another, where there's something that needs to be done, but we just keep putting it off. We're perfectly aware of it. We're expecting to do it at some point. There it is on our to-do list, staring us in the face. But for whatever reason, we push it to the back burner and tell ourselves we'll get to it eventually. So what's really going on here? Why can't we just do it and put it behind us? How can we end this pattern of procrastination once and for all? What's up with procrastination? Nothing is so fatiguing as the eternal hanging on of an uncompleted task. This was written by author and physician William James. So why is it that some things seem so hard to finish, and in fact, hard to begin, and tiring to complete? There can be a lot of reasons why people procrastinate in getting something done. Ali Schiller and Marissa Brover, co-owners of Accountability Works, suggest there are 4 types of procrastination: the performer, the self-deprecator, the overbooker, and the novelty seeker. The performer might be a person who claims they work well under pressure, so they wait till the last minute. Although they may get it done, staying under pressure is not much of a sustainable strategy. The stress of this habit may eventually take a toll on one's health, as well as keeping everyone else in suspense as to whether or not you'll actually achieve your goal, especially if it's a time-sensitive project. The self-deprecator feels guilty about not doing it and creates low self-esteem, which can be a cyclical situation, where the worse you feel, the less you get done. Then the less you get done, the worse you feel. This person may just need to take a break and think about some self-care, then try to look again at their tasks with a fresh and well-rested perspective. The overbooker is so busy they can't get to anything. Oftentimes, they have so many irons in the fire that they can't decide which one is the priority. By creating chaos, they can hide from really having to face anything. They might need to look at the bigger picture and ask themselves what it is that they're really trying to avoid. Lastly, the novelty seeker has somewhat of a shiny object syndrome. They have a hard time completing anything because they are constantly distracted by another idea. They may have great ideas worth looking into, but a better strategy for them might be to write the new thought down on another list and get back to it after the current task is finished. Procrastination can have many forms and numerous reasons, but the bottom line is that things just aren't getting done. The act of procrastination itself can bring some degree of gratification due to the fact that you are temporarily relieved of doing the thing you need to do. But it's short-lived. The task is still out there, calling your name and awaiting your attention. English actor Christopher Parker once quipped, "Procrastination is like a credit card. It's a lot of fun until you get the bill." What have we tried? How many times have we told ourselves we're going to get something done only to watch another day slip by without having made any progress towards our goal of completing the task? We may have tried forcing ourselves to do it using bribes, treats, or rewards. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. If the reward is great enough, it may be sufficient. Sometimes the task might seem overwhelming. By breaking it down in small steps, we might be able to tackle the job one step at a time and make it more manageable and less intimidating. Some people have tried setting a time limit, either setting a timer for a specific amount of work time each day, or setting a goal for when you want to finish the task can help you have a definite end to when you want to be done. If you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, the job itself might not seem so difficult or time-consuming. By removing distractions and focusing on the job at hand, you will most likely get more done than if you are continually interrupted. Turn off your phone, let people know you are going to be working on your project, and settle in for some quality work time. And remember to forgive yourself if you fall short. Don't identify with what you didn't get done, but make a committed decision to try again at the next scheduled time. Even if you don't get as much done as you wanted to, be sure to spend that time working toward the goal. American aerospace engineer Gene Kranz coined the phrase, "Failure is not an option." Although challenges and disruptions are often part of any project, remind yourself that the ultimate goal is success and completion. Realize that progress is better than perfection. Action destroys procrastination. So what's preventing you from starting? Recognize the fear or obstacle holding you back. You can't be that kid standing at the top of the water slide, overthinking it. You have to go down the chute. This was said by American comedian and producer Tina Fey. Once you take action, procrastination ceases to be. Once you are in motion, you have taken a major step. German writer Heinrich Boll wrote, "If you want to do something, get up and actually do it." But how do we get going? How do we actually do it? When anything and everything seems more appealing than doing the task you need to do, where do you start? Motivation is the force that drives action. If you get motivated to do something, then you will be more likely to do it. But how do you get motivated? Stimulus is the force of motivation. It is the reason why we become motivated. For example, if you see a spider crawling across the ceiling, that could be a stimulus that motivates you to jump up, grab your cleaning supplies, and dust all the cobwebs in the room to eliminate the spiders. Or if your boss calls and asks how the project is coming along, stimulus, and you want to get it done so as to avoid another phone call, motivation, then you get out the materials you need and start working. Action. The difference between a stimulus and motivation is that stimulation always comes from something else. The spider, your boss calling. It's something that triggers your reaction and brings your awareness to the need to act. Whereas motivation comes from within. It's the point where you decide to get going and do it. Find what motivates you. Is it a reward? Is it fear of not getting it done and having to deal with a negative consequence? Or is it an opportunity to build a habit that creates self-esteem and responsibility? Whatever the stimulus is, it will create the motivation for you to proceed. Stimulus equals motivation equals action. Self-discipline. Self-discipline is the bonus factor of defeating procrastination. American writer, artist, and philosopher Albert Hubbard wrote, "Self-discipline is the ability to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Every time you find the motivation to act, it becomes easier and you begin to develop a habit of action. Motivational speaker Les Brown stated, "The fact is, discipline is only punishment when imposed on you by someone else. When you discipline yourself, it's not punishment, but empowerment." If you want to defeat and destroy procrastination, start where you are and make steps toward a habit of personal accountability, responsibility, and empowerment. Not having things hanging out on your to-do list will be less stressful and give you a clear focus to think about other things. Procrastination can make you feel stuck, as if you are immobilized to do anything else. By doing your tasks without delay, you may feel freer, lighter, and more energized. English philosopher and statesman Sir Francis Bacon reminds us, "Begin doing what you want to do now. We are not living in eternity. We have only this moment, sparkling like a star in our hand and melting like a snowflake." Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. So you finally reached a point in your life where you're starting to feel accomplished, successful, and competent. You've worked hard, honed your skills, and taken advantage of your opportunities, when suddenly it hits. A persistent and internalized fear comes over you that this is all wrong and somebody is going to find out you're a fraud and call you out on it. You feel like you don't belong in this role, and the only reason you got here is by luck or circumstance. What just happened? You've been struck by imposter syndrome. This phenomenon was first described by psychologists Suzanne Imes and Pauline Rose Clance, who coined the phrase. It generally affects high-achieving individuals who find it hard to accept their success and achievements. They feel that they are undeserving of the recognition and status they are receiving. Despite evidence of their competence, they seem to think they have fooled people into believing in them and then feel guilty about it. Does anyone else feel like this? Numbers vary, but studies show that as much as 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their careers. Business professionals, writers, actors, artists and inventors are just a few that find themselves questioning their credibility and skills to perform their jobs. Even some of the most successful people like Albert Einstein, Maya Angelou, and Lady Gaga have questioned their own abilities and feel undeserving of the admiration and success they have achieved. Imposter syndrome can leave you feeling isolated, as if you don't belong. It can be a difficult experience to deal with, especially if you don't know what's happening and why you feel this way. But knowing that many other people have been through the very same thing can be comforting. But what's really happening here, and what can be done about it? Talk to someone. One place to start might be to talk to someone. Shedding some light in a dark headspace can help illuminate the negative thoughts that say you're not good enough. By sharing these feelings with a trusted mentor or manager, you may be able to release some of your worries and see things more clearly. Talking about it, instead of trying to hide it, might help put things into perspective. Reviewing the goals you set and the steps you took to reach them could help you acknowledge your hard work and the skills you have gained along the way. Let go of perfectionism. People with imposter syndrome tend to be high achievers. They have elevated expectations of themselves and sometimes struggle with perfectionism. Whether you've been influenced by others that insisted on perfection, or whether you arrived at this perspective on your own over time, it's worth reflecting on. Author Michael Law wrote, "At its root, perfectionism isn't really about a deep love of being meticulous. It's about fear. Fear of making a mistake, fear of disappointing others, fear of failure, fear of success. Confront your fears head-on and acknowledge them. Then you can begin to dissect the real reasons behind your emotions and begin to challenge your thinking. Examine your strengths and weaknesses. By looking at your strong points, you can see where they help you to excel. By considering where you may be lacking, you'll know where to focus your energy to do better." Athlete Kim Collins said, "Strive for continuous improvement instead of perfection. Pushing yourself to the point where you can never accept that it's good enough won't produce the results you are looking for. Convert fear to excitement. Now that you have some idea of what's really going on when you feel like an imposter, you can change the way you label fear. There's a fine line between fear and excitement, and sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. When you're feeling those emotions, ask yourself which one it is. Is there really anything to fear? Do the facts support that? Or is it really excitement? Are you excited that you've reached such a high level of achievement? If you're feeling some degree of stress, unsure of the next step to take, could you relabel that as a challenge rather than scary? Instead of feeling inadequate, could you get excited about the opportunity to learn more, while maintaining the belief that you've already come this far? Once you understand yourself, you can start to realize that the imposter feeling inside of you can be a friend, if you let it. It's pointing to some insecurities that, when acknowledged and redirected, can help you to calm your nerves, be your authentic self, and move forward with confidence. You did the work and you deserve to be here. Embrace it. Can imposter syndrome ever be a good thing? Well, in some cases, it can be. It may help you to see how far you've come and where you want to go. It can motivate you to continue learning and keep up with modern trends and programs. Keeping your emotions in perspective, learn to accept your feelings. Instead of always trying to fit in, focus on how unique you are and find your individual strengths. Maybe you do things differently than others, but that doesn't mean you are wrong. It can sometimes be difficult to accept your own successes. Some artists can strive over a painting for so long that it loses its original beauty. Artist Andy Warhol said, "Don't think about making art. Just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it. While they're deciding, make even more art." Know your worth. Once you realize your inner imposter is missing information that truly credits your skills and accomplishments, you can begin to overcome those feelings of inadequacy. Stop listening to the downward spiraling dialogue that tells you that you're not good enough. Civil rights advocate Elijah Cummings stated, "You must have confidence in your competence. When you think about something, 1/2 second before you think it, you decide to think it. So it is possible to think a different thought by choice." Author Christine Podesky writes, "Change the way you feel by changing the way you think. You control your thoughts. Your thoughts do not control you." Whenever you begin to feel like you're not who everyone thinks you are, stop. Replace those thoughts with authentic praise. Be kind to yourself. When you track your successes and let go of perfectionism, you begin to see a more realistic picture. It doesn't matter what someone else thinks or says about your performance. The facts that document your skills and accomplishments speak for themselves. Accept success. When that voice pops into your head and shakes your foundation and causes you to doubt yourself, it's time to take a step back and see it for what it is. Accept that it's okay to be a success. Don't undermine your efforts. Some people fear success because they think others might be jealous of them, or their relationships with peers may change because of their success. Never hold yourself back because of other people. You can always give them a hand up to join you on your path of success. But holding yourself back will only lead to depression and resentment. Author Paulo Coelho wrote, "When we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. You never know when the success you achieve will inspire others to do the same." Imposter syndrome may make you feel like you have no right to be the success you are, and the whole world is pointing their fingers at you and laughing. Humorous social commentator Will Rogers popularized this sentiment that has been attributed to many authors over the years, saying, "When you're 20, you care about what everyone thinks of you. When you're 40, you don't care what people think of you. And when you're 60, you realize people were too busy thinking of themselves and weren't thinking about you at all." By talking about your feelings, accepting your success, and knowing your worth, you can work through imposter syndrome and get back on track. Show up, do your best, and let go of the outcome. Remember that you are the greatest project you will ever work on. If you're doing good, don't be afraid to own it. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. When you think back on your school days, what's the first thing that comes to mind? The school building itself, a memorable teacher, the friends you made. Chances are the actual lessons of reading, writing, math and science are not at the top of your list, although they do serve as the basic skills of an education. We may also learn certain social aspects that help us to be good citizens. At a very young age, we learn to take turns, stand in a line, and function in a group. As we get older, we may learn more about cooperation and teamwork. And on a less positive side, we may experience relationship difficulties and peer pressure. School days can help us develop both academically and socially, but do they prepare us for some of the real challenges we face once we head out into the big world on our own? Albert Einstein said, "Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think." We may have taken in a lot of information and know how to access it, but is there something else we should have learned in school? 1. How to think for yourself. Learning how to think is more than just memorizing a list of facts and figures. Learning how to think for yourself involves forming opinions and making decisions based on your own understanding. Be curious and question everything. Re-examine your views and values often and be open to opposing viewpoints. By using critical thinking skills, you can base your decisions on gathered facts and know that things can change if new information is presented. From the wisdom of ancient Greece come the words, "Know thyself." By understanding your feelings and discovering your strengths and weaknesses, you develop self-awareness. That will help you make decisions and pursue goals in your best interest. Philosopher Aristotle said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom," which is the basic quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. Combined with the lessons we learned from a formal education, thinking for yourself allows you to find your place in the world. Once equipped, you can move forward to discover your own destiny. 2. What the right mindset can do for you. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." By discovering how you think and why, you develop a unique mental attitude. Your mindset can determine your life outcome. For example, if you think that life is full of limitations, that is what you'll find. And if you believe that life is full of opportunities, then those are the doors that will open up for you. Some people have a mindset of scarcity or fear. They tend to focus on lack, as if there isn't enough for everyone. This can manifest in the characteristics of greed or poverty. A person who believes there isn't enough might try to grab as much as they can for themselves in order to feel safe. On the other side of the spectrum, some may feel as if they can never achieve success because there is a limited amount to go around. Life may seem more like a struggle than an adventure. Other people who have a mindset of abundance see the world as being full of opportunities. They believe there is plenty for everyone and make efforts toward achieving their goals. They don't need to hoard their treasures, but rather enjoy the fruits of their labor and expect that there is always more available. People with a mental attitude of abundance see opportunities everywhere they look. If you see the glass as half full instead of half empty, you are looking at things on the side of abundance. 3. Your failures don't define you. When you're in school, it can be easy to compare yourself to your classmates and sum up your status as a success or failure. In the real world, it doesn't have to work that way. You will make mistakes, but you can use them to correct your course and move in another direction or try again. Musician John Bon Jovi once said, "Success is falling 9 times and getting up 10. As you're learning to navigate the world, you may have to figure out new ways of doing things. Inventor Thomas Edison looked at it this way: "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." By changing the perspective of how you look at failure, you may see it as a teacher and motivator. Instead of discouragement, you may find inspiration. When you remember that everything is temporary, you can see your mistakes as minor setbacks and not a permanent part of who you are. 4. Resilience. Once you see that your failings are as important as your successes, you gain resilience. Knowing that obstacles and challenges will always be there, you can anticipate their existence and prepare as best you can. Author Mark DeVoe wrote, "If we welcomed problems as a daily part of life, we'd spend less time being surprised by them and more time dealing with them." When you were in school, you may not have learned that problems are a necessary part of life. By accepting that things are going to come up and having a strategy to deal with them, you become more resilient with each passing event. Keep yourself in top condition to deal with stressful situations. Eat healthy food, get enough sleep, stay active, and have a good support system through friends, family, or work relationships. Develop skills of self-control, problem-solving, and discernment. Then, when the inevitable stages of adversity do arrive, you can move through them with confidence. Author C.S. Lewis wrote, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." 5. Uncertainty is certain. At school, you probably felt a lot of uncertainty. Things were not always clear and could be subject to change. If you thought this was something that only happened during your school years, you may be surprised to find that life is full of uncertainty. Having ideas of what you want to do is a good rule of thumb when having goals and ambitions. But keep in mind that things often happen that change the trajectory of your best laid plans. Author Nicole Reed stated, "Sometimes the bad things that happen in our lives put us directly on the path to the best things that will ever happen to us. Even when our plans change, or just don't turn out the way we expected them to, it can turn out even better than we could have imagined. We can't always know how things will turn out. Weather changes. People don't always do what we think they're going to do. Plans fall through. Or sometimes we are surprised with good luck and blessings. Life is full of twists and turns, so the best plan of action is to know that nothing is certain. Make a plan, then make a plan B, and sometimes plan C. Be flexible. Uncertainty may be inevitable, but it will always bring you opportunities to rethink your path." 6. The gift of the present. When you were in school, you may have thought a lot about your future. People would ask you what you want to do with your life. Where will you go from here? What are your plans? But did anyone show you the value of the present moment? If you are so focused on what will be in a year, 5 years, or even 10 years from today, you miss the point of being here now. Keeping your mind on what you're doing can help you become more aware of your surroundings and give your best to the current moment. In doing so, you get to experience more fully the life you are actually living. Learn from the past and plan for the future, but stay rooted in the present. It is the only time you have to take real action. The things we learn in school are valuable, but there is always so much more to know, and much that we should have learned but didn't. Maybe that information wasn't taught to us, or maybe we just weren't paying attention. Either way, life has a way of teaching you anything you might have missed along the way. Once you start thinking about it, learning never ends. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Life is a process. We are always working on making improvements at a pace that works differently for each person. By constantly reassessing our thoughts and actions, we can know where to make changes to meet our goals. Here are 10 questions to ask yourself frequently. Write them down and look at them on a regular basis to help know yourself better and navigate your course with clarity and awareness. Number 1. What am I grateful for? Having an attitude of gratitude is more than just being thankful for all the good stuff you have acquired. Being grateful shapes our perspective, which in turn spills over into all areas of our lives. Motivational speaker Tony Robbins says, "Being grateful activates different parts of your brain, causing chemical reactions that affect both mental and physical health. This mindset may help you experience less stress, better sleep, and make us happier and more optimistic. In turn, this improves our physical health, relationships, and perpetuates even more to be grateful for." Number 2. What am I thinking? Being aware of your thoughts is vital to a healthy mindset. The term monkey mind came from Buddhist teachings, describing how thoughts can jump from one thing to another, similar to how a monkey would jump from tree to tree. When your thoughts are constantly distracted, it becomes difficult to focus on any one thing. Ask yourself, what are you thinking about at any given time? Is it a positive thought, or are you spiraling downward in negative self-talk? Identify your thoughts and make a conscious assessment about them. If you're having a hard time taming your monkey mind, you might try taking a few minutes to breathe or meditate until you can take control. Negative thinking can be toxic. Positive thinking puts you in a position of acceptance and possibilities. Staying positive does not mean everything will turn out okay. Rather, it means you will be okay, no matter how things turn out. Number 3. Am I acting according to my principles? It can be easy to stray from acting in line with what you believe, especially if you're tired or not feeling well. Sometimes you may be convinced to do something that you don't feel good about later. Know what is important to you, and when situations arise, refer to your personal principles. Life is always creating new challenges and new ways of doing things. President Jimmy Carter stated, "We must adjust to changing times and still hold to unchanging principles." What you value can be your guide to what action to take. Ask yourself what your principles are, live by them, and review them often. Number 4. What am I doing? Author Annie Dillard writes, "How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives." Ask yourself if what you are spending your time on is creating the life you want to have. Are you doing things that elevate and nurture you? Is this bringing out the best in you, or is it dragging you down? When you are doing something you are passionate about, you may have the feeling that time is standing still. Some call it being in the zone. If what you're doing seems just the opposite, as if you're stuck in a rut that never ends, you may want to rethink how you are spending the time you have been given. Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, wrote, "The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities." Number 5. Who am I spending my time with? Have you heard the saying, "Birds of a feather flock together"? When you think about the people you spend time with, would you say they enhance your life, or do they make it more difficult? Are you spending time in places that are enriching and inspiring, or are they more frustrating and stressful? By asking yourself these questions, you can think about restructuring what is working for you and what is not. People tend to be heavily influenced by their surroundings and the people they are with on a regular basis. Think about the people who have the lifestyles and values that you would like to have. Where would you like to be that makes you feel happy, relaxed, and successful? By being aware of what you want, you can seek out the environments that most align with the life you want to create for yourself. Author Edmund Lee wrote, "Surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers, the believers and thinkers, but most of all, surround yourself with those who see the greatness within you, even when you don't see it yourself." Number 6. Am I eating to live or living to eat? What is your relationship with food? Are you consuming healthy foods that will nourish you and promote good health? Are you grabbing a quick bite of whatever is handy? Or do you do meal planning? Carefully choosing foods that give your body the nutrients it needs to function at optimal levels. Do you eat to comfort yourself when in pain, boredom, or sadness? Do you choose foods that just taste good and possibly eat too much of them? We are constantly bombarded with ads and offers for all kinds of foods, and our brains are wired to react to sights, sounds and smells that tempt us with promises of pleasure and satisfaction. But what are you really doing for your body? By asking this question each time you eat, you can be mindful of what choices you are making for your health. Number 7. Am I holding on to something I need to let go of? Sometimes in life, we need to do a bit of decluttering. It can be comfortable to live with familiarity, but every so often, we may need to take a look at how things are going and do a little house cleaning. When something is not working in our lives, we can ask ourselves if we need to do something differently or just let it go altogether. Whether it's related to work, home, finances, relationships, health, or something else, it can be helpful to assess what's working for us and what's not. Holding on to something that no longer serves you can be draining. Letting it go can open the door to other opportunities. Author Eckhart Tolle wrote, "Sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than hanging on." Number 8. Am I reacting or responding? When something happens, do you typically react immediately, or do you pause, think about it, and then respond? Author Bodhi Sanders tells us, "When you react, you let others control you. When you respond, you are in control." Reacting to something is rooted in survival instincts. There's no time for considering words or actions. How accurate do you think you can be if you do something without thinking it through first? Responding takes more thought. Jim Taylor, PhD, writes, "We can stop and make a deliberate decision based on careful analysis of the circumstances." Author Charles Swindoll reminds us, "Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it." Number 9. Am I giving back? We've all heard the phrase, "It's better to give than to receive." While both can be enjoyable, there's a reason why giving is a good thing. According to the Cleveland Clinic, studies show that giving can be good for your physical and mental health. Research says it can help lower blood pressure, promote self-esteem, help you feel happier, and even live longer. Physicist Albert Einstein said, "It is every man's obligation to put back into the world at least the equivalent of what he takes out of it." Number 10. Where am I heading? Stay on track and ask yourself this question often. You wouldn't get in your car and have no idea what direction you're going or what your destination might be. Have a goal and always ask yourself if what you're doing now is pointing you in the right direction. Indian leader Gandhi stated, "The future depends on what we do in the present." By checking in with yourself often, you can be sure to be more in alignment with the life you want to create and acquire an awareness of how to stay on track to get there. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Most people have goals. Personal goals, professional goals, fitness goals, and many other types of goals. Some are short-term and are achieved quickly and easily. Others may take much longer. Some goals may literally take a lifetime. We generally have goals over the course of a day or week and can check them off our lists with little difficulty. But what about the bigger goals, or goals we don't really want to do in the first place? What if we have goals set for us by our boss or other obligations that we need to accomplish but just can't seem to get to? And now it's overdue. Time is running out and we haven't even started. What then? What if you've procrastinated too long on your goals and now you don't even know where to start? Define the goal. When the time has come that you have to acknowledge the fact that you have not reached the goal you have set for yourself, it's time to get real. Did you have a goal for your life, say 5 years ago, and it never happened? Ask yourself if that is something you still want to do. Have you worked steadily toward the goal without much progress? Or are you starting to realize that you put it on the bottom of your list and never really got a chance to work on it? Is it a short-term goal, like a work project, and the deadline is looming over you to finish it now? Can you get an extension to complete it, or drop everything else and do nothing but that until it's done? Identifying the goal and deciding if it is still possible to do it is the first step. Then ask yourself why you didn't do it. There may be circumstances that prevented you from getting it done, or maybe some other reason that needs to be addressed. Don't waste time being hard on yourself. Just start where you are now and see what you can do from this point onward. Ask yourself what would need to change for this to be possible. Author C.S. Lewis wrote, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." Reassess your direction. When deciding how to begin an overdue task, you might ask yourself, was this important to me? Feeling strongly about it could make it easier to schedule on your immediate to-do list. If not, you might be putting it out of your mind altogether. Assess the importance of this goal and see if you still want or need to do it at all. If the answer is yes, the next question you might ask yourself is, do I have the right skills and tools to do it? If there is something you need to acquire to get started, then make a list. If it's items you need, go get them. If it's a skill or information you need, make steps to develop what you need to learn. Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu wrote, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Sometimes you may find that the details of the task or goal are unclear. If a lack of clarity is holding you back, ask questions. Were you unsure of how to get started or proceed? By talking to someone about the steps to take, you can gain insight on how to begin. If fear of failure is the cause of your procrastination, it can block you from even starting. Inventor Thomas Edison stated, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." By letting go of your fear of the outcome, you can give yourself permission to try. "Do not be embarrassed by your failures," said businessman Richard Branson. "Learn from them and start again." After you've assessed all of the other reasons why you haven't reached your goal yet, check your motivation. Are there distractions keeping you from focusing on your goal? Are you disinterested in it? Ask yourself again if this is something you really want to do. If the answer is yes, it may be a matter of self-discipline. Greek philosopher Epictetus said this: "It's so simple really. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you start something, finish it." Make a new plan. Now that you have assessed the situation and have decided you want or need to accomplish your goal, it's time to make a plan. Inspirational speaker Tony Robbins says, "Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible." There's no need to look at the past for all the reasons or excuses you had not to do it. Coach Vince Lombardi stated, "It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up." Start right here, right now. This is your new starting point. Begin with prioritizing the steps you'll need to develop a solid plan. Gathering the tools or skills you will need is a good place to start. Remember to ask for clarity if there is something standing in the way of understanding the project. Budget your time wisely. Write out a schedule to ensure you are using your time and energy in a way that will work for you. Include your breaks and other activities you need to do along the way. By being realistic about how much time you have available to spend on your tasks, you will be more likely to stay on track. Establish new habits. Now that you've found yourself on solid ground, establish a new plan of action so you won't continue to find yourself in the same boat again. By creating boundaries and new strategies, you can be prepared to act consistently toward your future goals. Forming a habit requires continued repetition of the desired new action over a period of time. Make steps toward progress every day to keep the momentum going. Rewards may reinforce your efforts. Internal rewards might include feeling good about yourself, less stress, and accountability. Some examples of external rewards could be that you get paid for the job or receive some recognition for the work you've done. Find mentors that inspire and support you, and make a habit of surrounding yourself with positive people. Be mindful of what you say to yourself and change any habits you've had about criticizing or doubting yourself. Create a new habit of positive thinking. Author David Taylor Klaus wrote, "Words matter, and the words that matter most are ones you say to yourself." Make a new habit of setting goals that are both manageable and realistic. Be clear about what you are willing and able to do. Set boundaries and know your limits, but don't be afraid to stretch your comfort zone. Create a schedule that plays to your strengths. For example, if you are more productive in the morning, plan to do the most difficult tasks at that time. Or if you have particular skills or talents that you can use to really make a project shine, be sure and include those. Jim Rohn, author of 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness, wrote, "Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going." Take action. Once you've set your goals, made a plan, and established some positive habits, you're ready to take action. Become a doer by eliminating excuses and making a committed decision to accomplish your goal. Breaking your tasks down to individual steps can help you stay focused on the process without becoming overwhelmed. But with all of your planning, education, tools, and mentors, the bottom line is you have to find a way to get going and do it. Writer Lewis Howes said, "One day or day one. It's your decision." If you really want to achieve your goals, there's no substitute for action, and what you learn along the way might just surprise you. Author Henry David Thoreau wrote, "What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals." When you think about what you have to gain in terms of self-development by doing the thing you need to do, you may think differently about getting started. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Have you heard the saying, "Anything worth doing is worth doing well"? This quote has been echoed through the ages to encourage good works and competence. Doing your best is always a good way to tackle anything you want to accomplish. The average person is usually trying to do the best they can. We feel better about ourselves, reach more goals, and become more successful when we do a good job. But what if you wanted to become more than average? What if you wanted to excel to greater heights in your relationships and workplace? What would it take to be a cut above? What would you need to do to perform above average? Well, let's take a look at what makes someone truly exceptional. Show up. One thing people do who perform at above average levels is to show up. It seems like such a simple thing to do, but think about it. How many times have you counted on someone to do something and they didn't show up? Average people often intend to show up for the job, the event, or other situation they have agreed to take on, but then cancel commitments or don't realize the extent of what was expected of them. By showing up on a regular basis, you are already on a path of being above average. Knowing that people can rely on you to be there when you said you would makes a huge difference. Actor William Shatner stated, "Any success I have had began by my showing up on time, being prepared, and doing the best possible job." Showing up for yourself is important too. For example, if you wanted to learn a new skill, you would need to show up on a regular basis for practice or training. People who are above average at things like playing an instrument or a sport, or developing superior business skills, show up to do the work they need to do in order to accomplish their goal. In communities, when there is work to be done, or policies that need to be decided, it takes people to get together and make plans. It takes people who can commit to a greater cause. Above average people don't just sit back and let someone else do it. They get involved. The world is run by people who show up. Perform consistently. Sometimes people get lucky and achieve something surprisingly great without too much effort. Everyone cheers their success and they are on top of the world, until they're not. There is a saying, every 24 hours, the world rolls over on someone who's sitting on top of it. Regardless of what you may have achieved, your efforts are likely to be outshined by the next great thing that comes along, if that's all you have. People who are above average don't stop at one success. In fact, they are usually motivated and inspired to get on to the next project. You can't be satisfied with past achievements. Yes, you've done some stuff, but what have you done lately? Some musical artists don't display their gold records because they don't want to see themselves as having made it. By not dwelling on what they've already achieved, they are driven to look toward their next masterpiece. Above average people keep looking for new mountains to climb. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, but from what you do consistently, stated American entrepreneur Marie Forleo. Above average people are able to continually produce quality work. They can be relied on to not only finish a job, but create something original and exceptional again and again. Above average people deliver on a regular basis and always aim to hit the mark. They don't settle for mediocre. They know their worth and expect to do their best work every time. Attention to detail. The average person does their job. To perform above average, details matter. For example, completing a task is a basic skill. Checking to be sure things are correct, organised, and done efficiently demonstrates above average ability. Anticipating the wants or needs of others can also show attention to detail. While looking at a situation, think about what might come up and be prepared to respond. When you're at a restaurant, isn't it nice when the waiter fills up your water glass without you having to ask, has a pleasant conversation with you, or offers a menu suggestion that makes your experience more enjoyable, rather than just doing the minimum requirement of their job? By going the extra mile, you show people you care about their needs. Whether you are creating a pleasurable dining experience or a top-level presentation to a business firm, showing that you are prepared, knowledgeable, capable and respectful of people's time and interests shows you are performing at an above-average level. Businessman Sebastian Barbarito said it like this: "The difference between mediocrity and excellence is attention to detail." The best version of you. To perform at above-average capacity, you'll also need to take care of yourself. By getting regular exercise, restful sleep, and eating healthy foods, you can be ready to take on your tasks with energy and clarity. Author Jules Robson said, "Love yourself enough to live a healthy lifestyle. To do above average work, you need to be physically and mentally at your best. When you are healthy, you feel good. And when you feel good, you can do more, think more, and be more. By prioritizing your own health and respecting your own needs and goals, you open doors to achieving above average accomplishments. When you take care of yourself, you exemplify self-respect. You teach others how to treat you by allowing behaviors that support your best self-image and respect your boundaries. Be an expert. Another thing that above average people do is to be top-notch in whatever it is they choose to do. For example, if you want to fly an airplane, acquire the knowledge and training needed. Then go a little bit further. Hone your skills, study the details about aircrafts, and practice more than you have to. Work on your soft skills like communication and teamwork. Make a list of what qualities you believe someone should have to be an airplane pilot, and then develop those qualities in yourself. By learning everything you can about whatever it is you want to do, you move into the above average category. If you have the resources and put in the time to be the best at what you're doing, others may look to you as a professional in your field. Read books, watch videos, take classes, or talk with a mentor to find what you need to know. Philosopher Matthew Ferrara said, "The average salesperson commission rate only matters if you are an average salesperson." Look above the average statistics. Look above the average expectation, and you may find another level to strive for. Think about what the above average numbers would look like. When you develop more skills and information, you might find yourself producing above average work that reaps above average benefits. Keep going. It can be easy at times to be discouraged and give up on your goals. At the very least, you may be tempted to just do the minimum amount to get by. But if you truly desire to perform above average, then you can't quit. People who strive to reach their highest goals never give in to being just average. Singer-songwriter Taylor Swift once said, "I'm intimidated by the fear of being average." When you find the drive and passion to be above average, it propels you forward to keep going, even when times get tough. By being dependable, consistently showing a high level of competency, and paying attention to detail, you will be well on your way to performing above average. A healthy lifestyle and staying informed of current information and practices may help you to reach the goals you have set for yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. Just be the best version of you. Author Oscar Wilde wrote, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." You don't need to take anyone down to move yourself up. It's not about beating out the competition. It's about constantly reaching for and challenging your own personal best. And when you do that, you're already above average. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. For many people, every new year comes with a New Year's resolution. These usually take the shape of fairly life-changing goals, such as finding a new job or finally getting ripped for the summer. However, such a mindset is destined for failure. Sure, it's a good idea to have overarching goals. They provide a sense of focus and a general direction to head towards. But it isn't sustainable. Think about it. If you woke up every day telling yourself, "I need to find a job," the enormity of it all will weigh heavy. You can't just find the perfect role with a click of your fingers. If anything, a constant reminder of your overarching goal will weigh you down. Big changes require small actions. More specifically, micro-habits. By implementing any of the 7 micro-habits I'll explain in this video, you put yourself in the best possible position to change your life in a positive way. With each small habit, you're chipping away at your goals and dicing them up into smaller, more attainable pieces. 1. Planning, planning, planning. When thinking about going on holiday, the planning is unlikely to be your first thought. Of course, you may love the planning process, but it's easy to forget how crucial it is, not just for a stress-free trip, but in everyday life too. If you're looking to change your life for the better, planning is something that can dramatically help. Let's take your daily routine. One thing off-putting about exercise, particularly the gym, is the length of the process. Think about it. You need to get ready, travel, work out, go home, and then cook a meal. It's not the quickest process in the world, but with a bit of simple planning, you can save yourself so much time and mental energy required to exercise in the first place. For example, you could get your bag and clothes ready the night before you leave. This helps when getting up early for anything. You can plan your workout from there, eliminating the headache of which machine to use. A more significant step is meal preparation, a valuable time-saving tactic for everyone. You could cook a batch of lunch meals for the week, helping your day move along swiftly without needing to stop and cook. A prominent part of changing your life is about maximizing your time. Planning gives you some back. 2. Active breaks. Even though the pandemic normalized remote working, a few similar elements carry over. For example, even though you're not in an office, you're likely at a laptop sitting in an office chair. To change your life, the difference lies in how you take a break. In an office setting, it's perhaps tempting to go from sitting behind a computer at your desk to sitting in a break room, looking at a phone. While you have more freedom at home, the comforts of a sofa and television are not far away. Instead, take an active break. This means changing your current state. If you've been sitting behind a screen, take a walk. Go and play with your dog, or perhaps a stretch. Changing your environment and state as much as you can paves the way for recharging. After all, we're only human. We cannot work for 9 hours straight, and your body won't properly realize it's time for a break if you do a similar activity all the time. Recharging, even if it's just for 10 minutes, is a vital tool to have when trying to turn your life around. 3. Get the right water bottle. Of course, everyone knows the benefits of drinking more water. It keeps you alive, after all. That being said, it's often a forgotten thing, as dehydration is unlikely to be at the top of your concerns when your mind is elsewhere. You could set reminders to drink water, but there's a more you-friendly way. Think of your water bottle as your trusted companion. Sure, you may have friends or family, but a water bottle will go absolutely anywhere with you, always providing aid in a time of dehydrated need. The type of water bottle you have can dramatically change how you drink it. For example, bottles with straws in them are becoming incredibly popular because of how easy they are to use. By not needing to lift your head up and over, sipping water is something that will slowly become habit. After all, it's the little things. 4. Learn the power of a playlist. Music flows all around us. There's a song for every mood. Whether you're running Shrek-style through a field of flowers or setting the tone for a study session, music has an innate ability to draw emotion out from within. Organising your music into specific playlists allows you to pick and choose the type of music you need instead of continuously searching for songs. Remember, changing your life is mainly about saving your time. Time you can better use elsewhere. 5. Daydreaming. What are micro-habits? It's in the name. If the habit is too daunting to begin, you're much less likely to persevere. That's why micro-habits need to be as easy and accessible as possible. There's perhaps nothing more simple than daydreaming. While kids may be told off for it at school, it can actually be a very powerful tool. You see, daydreaming isn't wasted time. It's thinking time. Take J.R.R. Tolkien, author of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit series. It's claimed he thought of Middle-earth and everything else besides while daydreaming during a marking session as a university professor. J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, imagined a bespectacled boy with a scar on his head while daydreaming on a train. Daydreaming may be forgettable most of the time, but it can lead to some beautiful ideas, which is great for creativity, a tool everyone should employ if they wish to change their lives. 6. Ask yourself one question. There's one phrase we've all likely heard. If you don't ask, you don't get. It's so popular because it's true. Asking in the first place can be difficult. However, start by asking yourself a simple question. What's the worst that could happen? In many instances, the worst is a no. I'm here to tell you that's okay. The word no itself isn't a bad thing. It's the negativity surrounding it that does the damage. If the worst thing to happen in that scenario is being told no, then you have nothing to lose. 7. Microanalyze your behaviour. No one likes a micromanager. That annoying presence constantly looming over your shoulder and picking at all your work is one many will relate to, but that's not what this means. By microanalyzing your behaviour, you're able to understand it with much more depth than otherwise. For example, let's say you procrastinate more than you like. When you dig deeper, you might notice that you put off a task because you're worried it may amount to nothing. So not doing it is a way of protecting yourself from any kind of rejection. By learning that, you can adjust. For instance, you may choose to split tasks up into smaller chunks, to more easily feel like you've achieved something. The problem many have with micro-analysing is the lens they see it through. Realising some patterns of behaviour you don't like mustn't be met with self-hate. Instead, it's an opportunity to learn and grow. The smaller, the better. The less time you spend catching up from mistakes, whether through a lack of planning or not learning from unfavourable behaviour, the more time you'll have to look at the bigger picture. If there's anything you should take away from this video, it's this. Big, dramatic changes don't happen overnight, nor is it likely one singular action will make a difference. Instead, implementing small, micro habits helps you make achievable, positive alterations in your life which, when put combined, make a significant change. It's this very concept that propelled James Clear to international recognition with his best-selling book, Atomic Habits. Throughout the book, he argues that the biggest reason people don't fulfill their goals is that the path toward them is murky and too daunting. Micro-habits remove the fear and place your future firmly in your hands. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Scroll on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Instagram and you'll inevitably find a video of him lifting weights shouting "Focus" at someone off screen. However, it might not be as simple as that for some. If you're one of those people, fear not. You aren't alone by any stretch of the imagination. Obtaining focus can feel like an uphill battle, especially in the present world. Think about the ding your phone makes when you get a text. It's designed to acquire your immediate attention, to stop everything you're doing and focus on this notification. With your focus dragged down to the small screen in your hand, the major social networking apps lick their proverbial lips, relishing the opportunity to consume their product and collect your data. There's a reason we all continue returning to apps like Twitter and Instagram. They're designed to keep you scrolling for eternity. Just when you think you've consumed all of the dog videos and psychology threads that have ever existed, bam, a new hashtag pops up. It can feel never-ending. In fact, keeping your focus on one important task is somewhat of a valuable skill in today's society. In an era where distraction is easier to find than focus, learning how to remove the struggle can be vital in pushing the envelope of what you can achieve. Through understanding how your brain reacts to productivity and implementing the tips in this video, focus will move into, well, focus. After all, it shouldn't be a struggle in the first place. Eliminating distractions. As this video has already touched on, distractions are focus's worst enemy. You cannot hope to have any kind of sustained focus if you succumb to distractions too easily. The thing is, you don't always know what or when a distraction pops up. The solution is to eliminate the potential for this to happen before it begins. It's simple, really. If you find your phone's notifications are off-putting, tailor a focus mode specific to you. For example, iPhones allow you to select who and what you wish to receive notifications from, eliminating needless distractions from apps that have no right in acquiring your attention. Failing that, remove your phone from sight altogether. The mere allure of your phone is often enough to pull focus from something else. Simply putting it in a drawer or another room makes it more difficult to be distracted because you're removing the ease having your phone by you provides. While your phone is perhaps the most obvious and frequent source of distraction, it's not the only one. Emails, dogs barking, nearby traffic, just about any external noise can hog the limelight and pull you from a focused state. Then there's situational distraction, where it may prove difficult for people working from home, for example, to maintain focus. The cure, it seems, lies in the environment you create. If background noise is off-putting, work in a library or put some noise-cancelling headphones on. If you're at home and can't focus on the task at hand, try and complete it elsewhere, such as a communal workspace. You'll likely have systems that work best for you. One constant among everyone watching this video, however, is to understand that distractions are focus's number one enemy. Find out how to stop them from starting will go a huge distance in helping remove focus struggles. Setting SMART goals. At the start of any new year, people will naturally think about what they'd like to do differently. New goals or resolutions are set with the hopes of maintaining every single one. In this day and age, merely setting goals isn't effective enough. Big, overarching goals are great, but because they're so large, they often appear unattainable. To remove the struggles of focus, set SMART goals. Here's what it all means, as explained by Smartsheet. Specific. When setting a goal, it's important to remember what you're trying to accomplish, because otherwise it can feel open-ended. You can do this by asking the W questions. Who? Some goals require other people's involvement, so knowing who that is will prove vital. What? Detail the task at hand, so you know what it takes to achieve. When? It's difficult to know when you'll realize a goal, and while it can feel pressurized, setting one helps visualize your timeline. Where? Might not always be relevant, but placing yourself can be helpful for setting personal goals. Which? Here, define any hurdles you'll have to overcome to reach your set goal. Why? Perhaps the most vital question of all. Knowing why you're working towards a goal is critical for steering yourself in the right direction. Measurable. Goals, especially long-term ones, can feel purposeful to begin with, but difficult to track. The further along you get on your journey, the greater the risk of losing your way. That's why it's important to figure out a means of measuring your progress. For example, milestones such as earning your first £1,000 or running a 6-minute mile are a good way of measuring your current and projected success. Achievable. Sometimes it's great to let your mind wander. You've likely daydreamt about an outlandish situation that doesn't seem attainable, but that doesn't make it any less exciting to think about. With this element of the SMART goals, you're looking at how critical a goal is to you and whether or not it is attainable. This requires honesty and acceptance. To reach a goal, you must have the means, the tools and skills required to put yourself in the best possible position. Otherwise, you're heading for disappointment and a loss of motivation. Relevant. Everything should be in line with the goal you've set. Subsequent decisions must be in line with that, otherwise you are potentially creating more issues for yourself. Time-bound. While it can feel like a lot of pressure to set yourself a time frame, it's important to be realistic with your timing. A target date with questions throughout that time period asking what you can accomplish helps create a sense of urgency and understanding of where you are. Focusing on similar tasks. In Cal Newport's deep work, the importance of staying on track is emphasized throughout. For example, let's say you're trying to write an email. You think it's not that big a task, so you keep some other tabs open in your brain and work on something else in the background. Buying Christmas presents, perhaps. While you may feel in control, there's a limit. The thing is, human brains do not multitask well. Instead, your mind is simply jumping to and from tasks. Given you can't give full attention to one, you're splitting your time and not performing to the best of your ability. Newport suggests sticking with a task until its end, as it's more efficient to focus on one thing over multiple. If there are lots of different tasks, make sure they're similar to what you're doing originally, as it keeps your brain in line. For example, if your main target for a day is to write an article, then other tasks, such as reading and listening to calm music, can help put you in the best possible position to maintain focus for longer. Keeping focus doesn't need to be a struggle. This video is designed for one thing. Helping you see the difficulties that can arise when trying to focus needn't be feared. All it takes is an understanding of your shortcomings. Once that's acquired, you can figure out the right path for you. If you lost focus during this video, don't worry. Here's a brief recap on how to remove the struggle of focus. Eliminating distractions. Putting barriers up between you and any distraction, whether that be a dog barking in the distance or your phone's notifications, puts focus first and, most importantly, places you in charge. SMART goals. It can be difficult to maintain focus if you don't know what you're focusing on. SMART goals are a useful way of visualizing your path to goal accomplishment as they require detail. Focusing on similar tasks. While it may feel productive to tick off as many items off your to-do list as possible, it's much better to do one thing well over 6 half-baked tasks. Put your brain in the right mindset instead of flitting from headspace to headspace. So, there you have it. If you've managed to maintain focus throughout this video, thank you and well done. If you struggled, Perhaps this very list will help you out. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. According to Dr. Fred Luskin at Stanford University, people generally have over 60,000 thoughts in a day, most of which are repetitive. We often hear the reminder to think positive and be mindful of what we're thinking. Still, it's easy to get caught up in negativity, worry, or doubt and spiral into the repetition of those not so positive thoughts. Negative thinking can take hold of us for many reasons. Critical self-talk, being judgmental, or feeling fearful are just a few examples. If you ask most people, they would prefer to be happy, peaceful, safe and positive. But sometimes it's not that simple. So let's take a look at how we started thinking this way in the first place. In early human development, our brains were wired to notice danger or negative situations and remember them. In those days, our survival depended on it. Out of 100 thoughts, 99 things can be fine. But the one thing that is not fine is the one that our brains will zone in on. Negative thinking becomes a habit when our brains connect those particular neural pathways and reinforce them with another worry or negative thought. Some degree of negative scrutiny may be helpful and protective in certain cases. But if you get stuck in this mindset and see everything as negative, it's defeated the purpose. So what can be done if you're addicted to negative thinking? Can this loop be broken? Here are a few tips that might help you understand how you're thinking and what changes you could make to stop the negative cycle. Tip number 1. Catch your thoughts. The first thing to do is become aware of what you're thinking. If you can catch your thoughts as they arise, you can just observe them. Author Eckhart Tolle commented in his book, The Power of Now, that he appeared to be two people, the one who was thinking and the one who was aware of what was being thought. During a difficult time, he said he felt that he could no longer live with himself. At that point, he wondered, am I the person who I can't live with, or the person who can't live with me? That realization led him to the understanding that we can observe our thoughts. And in doing so, the next step is that we can also change them. Changing your thoughts can have a big effect on your life. For example, think about how your thoughts affect you physically. Most people would agree that when you're happy, you feel good. These thoughts and feelings promote the production of the neurotransmitter, dopamine. This not only makes us feel good, it also increases our focus, contributes to motor function and decision-making. It plays a big part in many other neurological and physiological functions. So, what happens when we think negative thoughts? We generally feel bad. These feelings can create chronic stress, producing cortisol, which is the hormone connected to the fight or flight response. When used properly, it prepares us to react to a dangerous situation, but we're not meant to stay in that state. Continual negative thinking damages our body systems, such as hormone balance and the immune system, as well as causing things like depression, anxiety, and high blood pressure. Once you start to catch your thoughts, you can analyze what you're telling yourself. Author Norman Vincent Peale wrote, "Dwelling on negative thoughts is like fertilizing weeds. Ask yourself, what thoughts do I really want to cultivate?" Tip number 2. Assess the reality of your thoughts. Observing your thoughts can help to recognize whether you're focused on the positive or the negative. Is there a real problem here that needs to be addressed, or something you can acknowledge and let go of? When you process your thoughts with awareness, you can place them in the appropriate category. Negativity may feel familiar and become your default way of thinking, and you may feel that you are protecting yourself from disappointment as if everything is going to turn out bad anyway. But is that based in fact? Begin to question your negative beliefs and ask yourself if the thought is actually true. Have you known someone who just seems to have a negative attitude, no matter what is happening? Sometimes this can be a learned behavior from early childhood. If you grew up in a negative environment with constant criticism and unfortunate events, your way of thinking was programmed by the people and situations around you. But once you realize that your thoughts can change, you can start working on doing things differently. As an adult, you can make new choices about how you look at things and who you surround yourself with. Tip number 3, accept and redirect. So how do you change to a more positive mindset? If you've been addicted to negative thinking for a while, you will need to learn to redirect your thoughts. Resisting is not usually the best way to confront your negativity. Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung stated, "Whatever you resist persists." By that, he meant that the more you resist something, the more you attract it toward you. It may seem counterproductive to accept your negativity, but let's look at how that might work for you. In Stoic philosophy, they believe if you imagine the worst that could happen and accept that, then the reality of what was actually happening wasn't so bad after all. Although it may seem like an odd way to deal with your worries, by making them seem even worse, it does have a way of putting it in perspective. Once you realize you could survive the worst option, you can redirect your thoughts to deal with things realistically and with optimism. Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "Perhaps the worst will happen, perhaps not. But until then, look forward to better things." Tip number 4, appreciate moments of joy and gratitude. Gratitude is a great tool to change your negative thoughts to positive ones. Even small things can help create a new habit of positive thinking. It's difficult to have two opposing thoughts at once. So, when you focus on what is good, the negative thoughts will have to take a back seat. Have some specific thoughts you can go to when you need to reset your thinking. Think about people and places that bring you joy, your favourite music, or special pets. Be grateful for everything. Watch for things that are going right. Do you have clean drinking water at home? If so, then you are more fortunate than 2.1 billion people worldwide, according to the World Health Organization. We often overlook the things we take for granted, but if you start to look at all the things to be grateful for, your brain will begin to watch for more of the same. Author Marianne Williamson wrote, "Joy is what happens to us when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things really are." Tip number 5, establish new patterns and activities. By making changes to your thinking patterns, you will be well on your way to eliminating your negative thinking habit. Take a walk, meditate, breathe. Do something that makes you feel good. See the glass half full. One more useful tool to try is called visual motor behavior rehearsal. The human mind cannot distinguish between reality and non-reality on its own. It responds to external sensory input. By using as many of your senses as you can to create a scene in your mind while envisioning a given action, you may elevate your level of competence. This has been used for things like relaxation and sports training. It has been proven to be as effective as having done the actual race or event in real life. The human brain processes it as if it had really happened. You can use this technique for positive thinking as well as any other self-improvement behavior. Awareness is the key to making changes to your thinking. Redirecting your thoughts is easier than fighting them. Being able to laugh at yourself when you notice judgmental, hypercritical, or worrisome thoughts can lighten the situation. And gratitude takes you one step closer toward more positivity and away from thoughts that no longer serve you. Marcus Aurelius stated, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." You choose. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Do you ever find yourself stuck when under pressure and can't seem to get going? Many people do. It can be difficult to concentrate on tasks when external or internal pressures create brain fog that affects your ability to do your best work. When distractions are causing pressure that makes you feel immobilized and unable to move forward, there are ways to get around it. Let's start by taking a look at what makes us feel pressured and why it stops us in our tracks. Under pressure. Sometimes a slight amount of pressure can be positive. It can arouse feelings of motivation, engagement, and excitement. But too much pressure can become an overload, where we feel out of control and confused. When we talk about this type of pressure, we are referring to an emotional state that clouds our thinking, slows our responses, and creates physiological stress. There are basically two types of pressure, either external or internal. Some examples of external pressure could be expectations from others, a heavy workload, illness, and relationships with other people, both in our personal and work environments. Internal pressures are things like pushing yourself too hard and having excessively high expectations of your own performance. Overscheduling yourself can add pressure to an already busy schedule as well. In 1908, psychologists Robert Yerkes and John Dodson developed the inverted U theory of motivation. This model theorized that people are able to do their best work when they have an appropriate amount of pressure for the job they are doing. When the pressure increased, becoming greater than what would be needed to feel motivated, the work performance became less. The idea is that some pressure can be beneficial, but too much becomes immobilizing. Rein in your emotions. Emotions are related to the depth of thought with which we can make decisions. It might be nice to think that decisions are made strictly with rational thought, but that's not true. Emotions come into play in all of our thinking processes. It just depends on what type of emotions they are and how we use them. Emotion-driven responses are a reaction to a stimulus. When the emotional impulsive brain overrides your rational one, it shuts it down. To keep your rational brain on track, you need to slow down so it can reboot. Slow breathing can be a useful tool to help make that happen. When you are using emotional thinking, you might make decisions based on what feels good and be opposed to the rational mind. Thinking and focusing on the emotional side of things can make you more reactive and defensive. On the other hand, emotion-informed choices are made intentionally with a full understanding of options and outcomes. When using rational thinking, your strategies could be based on what makes sense intellectually. Logic and facts are part of the rational way of looking at things, but they might miss an emotional component that could weigh in on effective decision-making. So, what happens if we use both types of thinking together? When rational and emotional thinking are combined, you might arrive at something we call wisdom. This is the balance between the two, resulting in mindfulness. By honoring the emotional thoughts, yet acting rationally, you can often come to decisions based on facts, logic, and compassion. This form of wisdom can help you move past procrastination in stressful situations. What kind of pressure? There are different kinds of pressure that can be causing your procrastination. Are you feeling stressed over an approaching deadline? Or are you pressured by other circumstances that are pulling you away from thinking about your task? Although both these situations are examples of pressure, the way you choose to handle them can be completely different. Your reaction to an upcoming deadline can be met with time management tools and checking to be sure you have all the resources you need to do the job. Then it becomes a matter of personal discipline. On the other hand, if you are feeling pressure due to distractions from other things like relationship issues or illness, you would have another way of looking at your options. Taking some time to resolve the issue and clear your head will allow you to refocus on your work once the situation has passed. Reframe your thoughts. Feeling under pressure can cloud your thoughts and make it difficult to move forward with clarity and motivation. It can seem confusing to even know where to begin. Winston Churchill stated, "You will never reach your destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks." Whatever distractions are causing the delays, you can assess them and make an informed decision about how to move forward. Ask yourself, how am I feeling about working on this project? Is there an external distraction? Or is the resistance coming from within? Once you have identified the reason for your procrastinating, then ask yourself if there is a better way of dealing with this obstacle. Becoming overwhelmed can create a cycle of procrastination. The more overwhelmed you are, the harder it is to get started. And the harder it is to get started, the more overwhelmed you become. The longer this cycle continues, the more difficult it can be. Like blocks being stacked on top of one another, more pressures can add to the feeling of being stuck and overwhelmed. By thinking about what is keeping you from your task, you can start addressing each block one at a time and focus on that, rather than letting other thoughts, people, or circumstances hijack your plans. Focus on the plan. Once you've identified your emotions, reframed your thinking, and acknowledged any external and internal distractions, you can focus on a plan to get yourself back on track. Setting goals and utilizing time management tips are a good place to start. Schedule your tasks in an organized way to make a plan for completion. If you need breaks to deal with outside situations along the way, make time for them, but stay on track with blocks of time to work on your tasks. Writer Cyril Northcote Parkinson came up with what is known as Parkinson's Law, that explains the notion that work will expand to the amount of time you allow for it. In a humorous essay, he stated that a task will take as long as you allow it to. If you tell yourself you have a week to do something, many people will take all week to do it. Whereas, if you tell yourself it has to be done today, you might find it can be done in a much shorter period of time. Use time management skills to get things done in a reasonable period. It can be easy to procrastinate if you think you have plenty of time to do something. But then you might be feeling some unwelcome pressure when you approach that upcoming deadline. You never know what else may come up causing additional pressure at the last minute that is out of your control. Remember that you have control over one thing, and that is you. You choose how to respond to any given situation. Dr. Wayne Dyer said, "Anything that immobilizes you, gets in your way, or keeps you from your goals is all yours. You can throw it away any time you choose." Understand the reasons you are feeling pressured. By using time management tools and setting personal boundaries, you might find you have less stress, leading to less procrastination. Whether it's a deadline looming over you, constant distractions, too many tasks piling up, or other pressure causing you to procrastinate, the way you choose to deal with it is up to you. The circumstances of what is happening may not be under your control, but the way you respond to it always is. You may not be able to eliminate all situations that create pressure in your life, but when you have control over yourself, you will be able to act from a place of personal power and calm. Then your decisions and actions can be based on informed choices that are in your best interest. Ernest Hemingway wrote, "Courage is grace under pressure." Have the courage to confront the obstacles in your path, and from there, you can move forward without hesitation. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Go to any city or town anywhere in the world and you'll find people walking around. Only you know where you're going. But do you know what's happening to your body and mind when you walk around? Chances are you don't. At least, not to the fullest extent. Of course, there's a difference between walking to a destination and just going for a daily walk. You're more likely to feel the benefits if you're not looking at a watch every 2 minutes. Even so, the physical and mental advantages are there. Walking is often disregarded, not just as a valid form of exercise, but as a form of self-care. It's a way of keeping yourself active in spite of knee and ankle problems. You can bask in the sun, a blessing when travel in cities is mostly conducted by buses and underground tube lines. The benefits are nearly endless, so here are a few. The physical benefits. When you think of exercise, you likely think of running, cycling, or perhaps weightlifting. Walking can be just as good. The physical benefits are almost endless. Upon comparing the results of the recent National Runners and Walkers Health Studies, researchers were able to find that energy expended in moderate intensity walking and high intensity running resulted in comparatively similar rates of reduction in risk of potential life-threatening issues, such as high cholesterol and blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease over a 6-year period. If you just want to stay active and healthy, moderate intensity walking will get the job done, as long as you expend the same amount of energy, of course. The physical, potentially life-saving benefits of a daily walk don't stop there, however. Past studies have shown it can lower your risk of death by a massive 39% when compared against no leisure time physical activity, as problems such as strokes become less likely among men and women. Of course, these are more long-term benefits of a daily walk. If you're looking to turn it into a habit, it's wise to take a look at the short-term advantages. For starters, with each passing day, you'll begin to feel fitter as your cardiovascular system improves. This can lead to more longer-lasting energy. Then there's the views. A daily dose of nature helps you become more acquainted with your area while also forcing you away from a screen, a rare thing in modern times. The mental benefits. When you think of walking, you think of the physical act of putting one foot in front of the other, eating up the ground and taking in the views. However, the mental benefits are just as, if not more immediately prevalent. For example, a study from Stanford University found that walking boosts creative output by an average of 60%. According to the researchers, walking opens up the free flow of ideas, and it is a simple and robust solution to the goals of increasing creativity and increasing physical activity. This is a process they call divergent thinking, a thought process that produces creative ideas through various different solutions. Put simply, a daily walk can help remove the mental block and offer new ideas and perspectives. After all, psychologists have found that a 10-minute walk may be just as good as a 45-minute workout for relieving anxiety. As you'd expect, a daily walk does a lot more than just promoting creativity. It also acts as a mood booster, as one study found that a mere 12 minutes of walking resulted in a valuable increase in traits such as self-confidence and attentiveness. Your environment matters too, as walking in nature is known to reduce overthinking about negative experiences, something we humans are all too familiar with. As a result, you decrease the risk of depression. Of course, a daily walk is unlikely to completely alleviate mental wellness issues, such as anxiety and depression. It will, however, be a literal step in the right direction. In these instances, it's important to put one foot in front of the other, taking each day and each walk one step at a time. The surprising benefits. An article from Harvard Medical School goes beyond the most obvious benefits of a daily walk, instead explaining the lesser-known advantages to your life. Here are some of the best ones. 1. As expected, Harvard researchers dove into the science behind walking. By looking at 32 obesity-promoting genes in over 12,000 people, researchers attempted to determine how much said genes contribute to body weight. They found that among those who took an hour-long brisk walk every day, the effects of the weight-promoting genes were cut in half. In conclusion, consistent, purposeful walking is a great tool for weight control. 2. Harvard used research from the University of Exeter, which found that a small, 15-minute walk helps curb cravings for sweet items such as chocolate. It can even reduce the amount you eat in high-stress situations. So, not only do you get some exercise and fresh air, you can save money and your sweet tooth. 3. It helps ease joint pain, as several studies have found that walking reduces arthritis-related pain. Moreover, walking 5-6 miles a week goes some way to preventing arthritis from ever taking place. More specifically, daily walking protects the knees and hips. 4. It boosts your immune system. While risking the cold of winter on a walk doesn't always seem like the most inviting idea, it helps protect you during the cold and flu season. A study proved this by assessing over 1,000 men and women, finding that among those who walked for 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, 43% took less sick days compared with those who exercised once a week or less. Put it this way, a daily walk has benefits you'll immediately see, and some you won't. A mixture of short and long-term advantages is perhaps the best part. The immediacy of the short term, such as feeling more creative and curbing a sweet tooth, coupled with the longevity of things like increased immune system and easing joint pain, helps make this form of exercise the easiest and most attainable of them all. In short, walking has too many benefits to list. So, there you have it. Daily walking has various benefits, a lot of which depend on how often and how long you walk for. Where a 15-minute daily walk will help curb your cravings is unlikely to have as dramatic an effect on weight-promoting genes as an hour-long walk. But the point still stands. A daily walk will have both short and long-term benefits to your mental and physical well-being. There are so many advantages to a daily walk, you'd be forgiven for forgetting some. To save you the trouble of scrubbing along this video, here's a summary of the best. Reduces the risk of life-threatening issues such as blood pressure, strokes, and heart disease. Increases your creative output by as much as 60%, as it frees up space in your mind by putting yourself in different situations. If out in nature particularly, a daily walk helps decrease the amount you think about negative experiences. It boosts your immune system, as a study found that a daily walk led to 43% less sick days among the 1,000 strong participants. Acts as an anxiety tonic, as researchers concluded a 10-minute walk is as good as a 45-minute workout. As this video has touched on, the balance between the two, as well as the combined physical and mental benefits, make walking the peak all-rounder of the exercise world. Moreover, you likely do it most days anyway, whether you're walking to the shops or catching a train. The only difference here? Choosing to do it for yourself, instead of viewing it as going from point A to B. How, where, when, and why you walk will be different for everyone. One thing is certain, though. A daily walk will make your life better in some shape or form. If you can, walk in nature, as not only will you think less about negative experiences, you'll be more inclined to do it the next day. If anything, it gives you a chance to get outside and take in some fresh air every day, something that is missing in the ever more technology-focused world. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. A common meme online says, "My brain is like an internet browser. I have 19 tabs open, 3 are frozen, and I have no idea where the music is coming from." Sound familiar? With so many things to do and think about these days, you may well find yourself lost in brain fog and wondering what to do about it. Returning to a state of mental clarity can take time, but utilizing some strategies for reducing stress and reorganizing your thinking may help. Here are 7 habits that may help boost your mental clarity. Habit number 1. Clear your mind. One habit you might want to do on a regular basis is a little mental house cleaning. When you clear your mind, you can remove unnecessary items that are clogging the system and make more room for an uncluttered way of thinking. For example, take out the garbage. But how do you do that with thoughts? One way is to do what is known as a brain dump. Having a habit of writing in a journal can be helpful to pour out all of the extra thoughts and emotions that don't need to be in the forefront of your thinking. Spend some time each day emptying your head by writing it down. Let your mind and thoughts flow and cleanse your brain. Go from having your mind full to becoming mindful by purging what you don't need and retaining those things that you do want to focus on. Another way to clear your mind is by using a calendar to write down important dates and appointments. By posting them in a way that can be tracked and reviewed often, you don't have to try to remember everything. If your dentist appointment isn't for 2 more weeks, you don't have to remind yourself every day about it. Check your calendar to stay on top of what's coming up, but let your mind be free to think of daily tasks in the meantime. Habit number 2. Take regular breaks. Your brain gets worn out after several hours of repetitive activity, so give it a rest. By taking regular breaks throughout the day, you create space in your mind. If you are constantly receiving input, eventually you'll run out of room. Your brain is like a receiving dock with ships pouring in every day with more cargo. If you don't reroute the cargo to another bay, or ship it out to its next destination, pretty soon the ships will have no place to unload. Stop allowing new ships into your harbour until the cargo from the last group has been processed. Your harbour also needs to shut down at night so your workers can get some rest. Make sure you are getting plenty of sleep to refresh your brain for the next day. When you sleep, your brain's waste clearance system cleans up your central nervous system and toxic byproducts from the day's build-up. Sleep contributes to organising your memories, improves problem-solving skills, and concentration. Basically, your brain is getting you ready for the next day. Without good sleep, you may find yourself lethargic, more confused, and irritable. Get plenty of sleep and take regular breaks throughout the day to promote your brain's ability to do its job at peak performance. Habit number 3. Daily meditation. Meditation is a habit that can reap benefits every time you do it, as well as collectively over time. This practice can give you a sense of calm, peace, and bring you into a state of balance. By refocusing your attention on your breath and letting go of busy thoughts, you may find yourself more grounded and less stressed. For starters, 5 or 10 minutes of sitting in meditative silence can be helpful. And as you gain discipline and experience, you may want to increase your time to 20 or 30 minutes. A famous quote by Mahatma Gandhi stated, "I have so much to accomplish today that I must meditate for 2 hours instead of 1. He was referring to the fact that the benefits of meditation were so helpful that he would be more productive on a hectic day if he spent a little more time preparing with meditation first. There are many books and websites dedicated to the practice of meditation, but the basic steps are to sit down, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. If thoughts arise, acknowledge them and let them go, and return to focusing on your breath. Some people like to use a timer so they won't be distracted wondering how long they've been sitting there. Set a timer for 5 minutes and then forget about it. Just focus on your breathing. When the timer goes off, open your eyes slowly and do some gentle stretching. When you are ready, get up and carry on with your day with better clarity and mindfulness. Aromatherapy can enhance your meditation practice as well as bring clarity through the sense of smell. Internist Yufang Lin at the Cleveland Clinic suggests that some essential oils can have rejuvenating effects. For example, peppermint may promote clearer thinking, rosemary may enhance memory, and citrus scents like lemon and orange may be uplifting. Diffusing oils in an area where you are working might have beneficial results on mental clarity. Habit number 4. Focus on what matters. If you have too many thoughts swirling around in your head, fighting for your attention, focus on what matters most. It's hard to have mental clarity when you are trying to think about too many things at one time. For example, if your mind is bogged down with your daily to-do list, write it down so you can look at it from another perspective and batch your tasks into individual groups. By getting it out of your head and onto paper, you can get organized and prioritize your list. Fragmented thinking is not an effective way of accomplishing anything, so choose the most important thing first and then work on the following tasks, one at a time. Habit number 5. Take a walk. A simple but very effective way to boost mental clarity is to take a walk. But how can something so easy make such a difference in how you think? Why does it seem to clear our heads? One reason is the fact that walking increases blood flow. When you have more blood flow reaching the brain, it stimulates the release of endorphins. These are neurochemicals that make us feel good and reduce stress and pain. Many of the great thinkers throughout history accredited long walks with inspiration and problem solving. Walking is one of the most common ways to boost mental clarity and clear away the brain fog. Habit number 6. Watch what you're consuming. The foods or substances you are putting into your body are affecting your thinking, either positively or negatively. Caffeinated drinks like coffee or green tea may give you a quick boost temporarily, but they won't solve the underlying reasons for your foggy thinking. Eating healthy foods and avoiding extra salty or sugary foods can help maintain brain health. Too many carbs and sugar can spike blood glucose levels, leaving you feeling depressed, tired, and irritable. According to research, eating foods that promote brain health, like leafy green vegetables, berries, walnuts, and fatty fish, may help improve your mental clarity. Habit number 7. Declutter the junk mail. One more tip you might want to remember is to empty your mental junk mail folder. You don't need to keep track of all the meaningless chatter that gets sent your way. For example, if someone at your office keeps telling you all of the latest gossip about your co-worker's personal business, you can delete it from your mental file. By letting go of repetitive loops of irrelevant news, you can clear the space and reserve your thinking for things that really matter. If something needs your attention, then act accordingly to address the need. But letting go of other people's problems and social trivia will make you feel lighter and less stressed. Author Cheryl Richardson wrote, "Just because some people are fueled by drama doesn't mean you have to attend the performance." By clearing your mind, engaging in healthy activities and relaxing self-care techniques, you may find it easier and more likely to maintain mental clarity to help achieve your goals. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Stress is a major contributor to illness. It's also a part of daily life. Between work, family, health, and everything else we deal with on a regular basis, it's pretty hard to avoid stress altogether. But reducing the amount of stress we allow into our lives can make a big difference in our health and outlook. Scientist Hans Selye, known as the founder of stress theory, stated, "It's not stress that kills us, it is our reaction to it." Since it's difficult to have no stress at all, it may be helpful to think about how we want to handle it. But how do you reduce stress in your life when it seems to be coming at you at every turn? Let's take a look at some stress reduction techniques that may help. Know your triggers. When you think about what really sets you off and creates stress in your life, what is the first thing that comes to mind? That first thought is usually the truth. Is there a particular person or situation that always seems to create tension for you? When you can identify who or what triggers you to become stressed, you may be able to divert the emotion before it reaches you. For example, if you often receive criticism from a boss, acquaintance, or co-worker, you may become conditioned to start stressing at the very sight of them. Rethinking how you want to react can give you the upper hand on your emotions before they get out of control. Other common triggers can be things like having too much to do, slow-moving traffic, demanding people or situations that don't meet your expectations. Most stress occurs because things are different than how we want them to be. It's a matter of how your brain detects things that are not in alignment with how you believe they should be. Acceptance. One technique that may get you started in the right direction is practicing acceptance. Begin to realize what you have control over and what you don't. You can't control the number of cars on the road or the way that other people drive. You can't control what comes out of other people's mouths. Basically, you can control what you think, what you say, and what you do. What you cannot control is whatever is not your own actions. You can't control your co-workers, but you can control how you react to them. You can't control the weather, the traffic, or the problems that other people are having. But you can control what you choose to do in these circumstances. Acceptance doesn't mean that you welcome whatever it is you are experiencing. It just means you accept what is happening and are able and willing to respond in a way that you choose. You are not at the mercy of your emotions. Author Dan Millman wrote, "You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you." Plan and prepare. Knowing how you want to respond to stressful situations in advance will give you a steady platform when the unexpected happens. Make a plan for what action you will take in any given situation. Similar to an emergency go bag, you can be prepared in advance. If other people's comments typically throw you off course, you may want to learn to dismiss them. Buddha said, "If someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does it belong?" By using this philosophical thought, you can simply refuse to accept their comments. It's only their opinion. And why give your power away to someone else's opinion? If it's traffic delays and bad drivers that push your blood pressure to the boiling point, ask yourself if it's within your control to change it. If not, then think about how you want to respond in this situation. Giving yourself extra time when traveling can help you feel less stressed. Have empathy for the other people around you. A common saying to remember is that everyone you meet is carrying some kind of burden, so be patient with them. Slow breathing or thinking about pleasant memories might help you feel calmer until things start to move again. Preparing for stressful situations is essential, and personally, I use the illustrations from my videos as a valuable tool in my arsenal. For example, if you're struggling with a sense of overwhelm, I'd take 5 minutes and go through an illustration about the problem. In this case, the visual prompts in the illustration on the power of doing only one thing would help you plan your responses in advance. The tips in the illustration remind you to breathe deeply and stay calm, along with more detailed time management techniques to equip you with the visual support you need to navigate stressful moments with confidence and composure. Thinking ahead before stressful situations arise can offer you some protection from being held hostage by your stressful emotions. Exercise regularly, eat healthful foods, and monitor your activities so you don't become overwhelmed. Set realistic goals. Stress can occur when you put too much on yourself. Taking on too many projects without enough time to finish them can create stress and pressure. By setting realistic goals and using time management tools to schedule your tasks, you may avoid stressful burnout. Be mindful of your expectations for yourself. Don't put the bar so high that it becomes a nightmare. 2 questions to ask yourself are, what am I doing and who am I doing it for? If you're taking on other people's work, you may be overloading your resources. If someone asks you to do something, it's okay to say no. Don't take on more than you can handle. Saying no to overworking on something is saying yes to self-care. The power of breath. Despite our best intentions and all of our preparation, there are going to be times when stress takes over and something needs to change to return to a more relaxed state. Observing your breath is a good place to start. Breathing is something we often take for granted, but it's an integral part of how we react to stress. Oftentimes, in stressful situations, we might find that we hold our breath. Another stress response is shallow breathing. Both of these affect chemical changes in our bodies that upset the balance and prevent normal functioning of our body systems. The good news is that changing your breathing can bring you back to a relaxed state and allow you to think with more logic and clarity. It can be hard to talk yourself down in an emotional moment, but deep breathing can bypass your anxious feelings. Research shows that deep breathing can slow your heart rate and stimulate the vagus nerve. This triggers your parasympathetic nervous system to help calm you down. Pro golfer Byron Nelson said, "One way to break up any kind of tension is good deep breathing." Switching off. If you are using all the tools you know about, like breathing and focusing on what you can and can't control, but still find yourself becoming overstressed, you may just need a break. You may have overloaded all of your circuits and just need to switch off for a while. Psychological detachment is the ability to mentally disconnect from work and not think about job-related issues when you are away from your job. Whether you take a vacation or just turn yourself off at the end of your workday, everyone can benefit by resting from the demands of life. Guided meditations are easily found online if you need extra help separating yourself from the noise of your responsibilities and relationships. Whatever your idea of rest and relaxation, make sure you include it in your self-care routine. Laughter is the best medicine. One last reminder to reduce stress in your life is to remember to laugh. It not only feels good to laugh and feel happy, but laughter has beneficial effects on our bodies as well. When you laugh, your body produces chemicals that make us feel good. When you smile, you trigger your brain to believe that things are fine. Even if you don't think you have anything to laugh about, you can always laugh along with someone else. Funny movies, stand-up comic routines, and silly jokes are available from many sources. The benefits of laughter have been known throughout the ages. Laughter is a bodily exercise, precious to health, said Greek philosopher Aristotle. Stress can be so harmful to your health that it's worth doing all you can to minimize the stressful events you encounter. Once you know how you are going to deal with stress when it does occur, it's like putting your hands on the steering wheel of your life. Know your triggers, accept what is within your control, and have a plan for how to deal with it when you can't avoid it. What is success and how do you achieve it? Perhaps one of humanity's most deep-rooted searches, success is the ultimate power card available to each of us. In the search for true self-pride, we humans will push our minds and bodies to their limits. Perhaps that's why you're here. To be successful, you must surely focus on what to do, right? Knowing what to avoid can be just as, if not more helpful. If you don't know the habits of a typical unsuccessful person, then seeds of unwanted behaviours may grow without you realising. Cutting them out at the root before they've had a chance to prosper is a good start. Finding out the habits of unsuccessful people needn't be difficult, however. Humans are not perfect, and it's in our imperfection we find the greatest lessons. By getting things wrong, we're able to get them correct and be better than ever before. By taking these traits of unsuccessful people on board, you're pointing your trajectory for success in the right direction. 1. Continued focus on negativity. Does your brain ever project a cringeworthy or otherwise negative experience into your thoughts? It doesn't take long for the brain to make itself feel uncomfortable, especially to those struggling with mental wellness issues such as depression and anxiety. If you look at success in a career-focused environment, which many do, then focusing on the negative is an antidote to success. You risk getting bogged down in something you should have moved on from. Put it this way, when you're hurriedly driving to work and get stuck behind a few red lights, suddenly they're all red. Your brain fixates on the negative, when in reality, many of the lights were likely green. Besides, every successful person will have encountered failure at some point along the road. Their success is tied to how they bounce back. Negativity has no place in your progress. Top tip. Research into the benefits of walking has found that a daily walk in nature can reduce the rate you think about negative experiences compared to sitting down. 2. Not curious enough. Without a curious mind, you're unlikely to find something to make your own. Here's an example. Let's say you're looking for a new career path. You've never explored it, but you know you have an aptitude for writing. It's not something you've thought much about, perhaps other than a small personality trait. However, this time you decide to give it a proper go, writing anything that comes to mind. With more practice comes more skill, and perhaps a love of the craft. It's that love, born out of curiosity, that provide the starting blocks for success. Allowing your endeavours to run their course is a trait intrinsically paired with success, as you never know what stands out to you. Top tip. Instead of idle daydreaming, write down your thoughts, however incoherent they seem to you. With some probing, you could lead yourself to the next successful venture. 3. Easily distracted. In this day and age, you'd be forgiven for feeling more easily distracted than previous generations. Ironically, the success of social media apps relies on your perpetual consumption, something that will lump the heavy burden of distraction onto you. For many, this comes in the form of procrastination, where you'll do literally anything other than the task that actually requires your attention. This could be brought on by feelings of imperfection and hopelessness, where you put off starting in fear of seemingly inevitable failure. Getting easily distracted is not a trait you carry with you toward the bright lights of success. Focus is vital in your upward trajectory, so it's vital to understand why you feel easily distracted. Merely knowing is not enough. Top tip. Read up on Cal Newport's Deep Work to truly understand the damage of distraction and how deep work can help you successfully focus. 4. Give in to laziness. I'll do it tomorrow. We've all been there. A task that, in the moment, feels impossible. That's future you's problem, right? Well, yes, but that's not helpful for any and all versions of you across the timeline. Pushing tasks of all sizes onto your future self is only going to slow you down. It may feel good to put a task off in the moment, but the second that happens, your future self is looking back and letting out the sigh of all sighs. That being said, a successful person doesn't have to be the most laser-focused, high-energy, immovable being someone on LinkedIn might tell you. Laziness isn't always closing your laptop and putting Netflix on. We all need to relax from time to time. No, laziness is the continual putting off of achievable tasks for flimsy reasons. To be successful, your life requires attention. Continual laziness provides the opposite. Top tip. Do small tasks right away, as the sense of achievement is a potent one. 5. Ignoring your body. What do legends of sport such as Roger Federer, Serena Williams, Tom Brady, and Lionel Messi all have in common? Their longevity. Each is coming to or has reached the end of their careers, leaving behind a legacy for the ages. They managed to do so by staying at the pinnacle of their respective games for a very, very long time, something only possible because they listened to their bodies. I'm not saying you need to have an athlete-like dedication to and understanding of your body to be successful. Instead, simply listening will save you a great deal of time and energy. Ignore it and you risk burning out. For example, ignoring the signs can leave lasting damage. If not now, then sometime in the future. It's best not to take that risk. Top tip. Although it may feel like it sometimes, it's not a crime to take a physical or mental wellness day from work, or whatever you do every day. In fact, your body will repay you for rest in the long run. 6. Not knowing your why. It's all well and good knowing you're doing something because you want to be successful. But what does that mean to you? Truly. Your why is your motivation, the reason you get out of bed in the morning. It must be alive and kicking every day. If you don't know your why, then the what and the how become vulnerable. Everyday life will soon lose meaning, and you may become disillusioned with the reason you started in the first place. Top tip: if you feel you don't have a reason, journal about the values that matter to you. Imagine you had to pick one thing to do for the rest of your life. Now ask yourself why you chose that way. 7. Mistaking help as weakness. There seems to be a certain sense of pride when someone tells you they've done something challenging by themselves, particularly in more individualistic, Western cultures. However, insisting on going it alone when it's not always required can act as a hindrance to your success. Knowing when to accept and rely on help is one of the key traits of a successful person. Turning it away will eventually push you toward frustration with yourself and perhaps a dent in confidence, even if the high from managing these things on your own feels self-sustaining. Put it this way, you may immediately think of Neil Armstrong as the first man to walk on the moon, but he wouldn't have done it without Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins. Top tip: don't accept help from someone just because they're offering. Take it from a trusted, knowledgeable voice, but remember, everyone else's advice will likely come from personal experience, so it might not be directly applicable to your situation. Success isn't found in a single video. My channel is fairly self-explanatory. These videos are designed for you to improve your life. However, as we all know far too well, success isn't found in a single video. Instead, it's found in the traits you adopt and avoid. Here's a quick recap of the 7 traits of unsuccessful people you don't want to copy. 1. Continued focus on negativity. 2. Not curious enough. 3. Easily distracted. 4. Give in to laziness. 5. Ignoring your body. 6. Not knowing your why. 7. Mistaking help as a weakness. If implementing successful habits into life is your sword, then knowing what to avoid is your shield. Best of luck! Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Every day we encounter situations that offer us the chance to make decisions, create solutions, and find new ways of doing things. Every new challenge gives us the opportunity to learn and grow. Learning techniques that lead to personal growth can put you on the fast track to where you want to be. But just what is personal growth? And where do you start? Well, personal growth is a process of developing yourself and the skills, behaviors, and characteristics that help you to become the best version of yourself. Self-improvement is an ongoing process that, for most people, will last a lifetime. There's always something new to learn and opportunities to advance yourself to the next level. One thing in life that is always constant is change. And change is the catalyst that propels you down the road of personal growth. The question is, how fast do you want to go? Where do you start? If you're thinking about self-improvement and personal growth, then you're already on your way. But there are a few pointers that may help you accelerate at a faster pace. Reflecting on your behaviors and habits can show you the areas where you can begin to move forward and make progress. For starters, make a list of all the things you want to focus on. Learning new things, traveling, meeting new people, and reading books on self-improvement topics are all great ways to begin. Read or say your list 3 times per day, at morning, noon, and night, and think about them as much as possible. You don't need to discuss it with anyone, so as to not risk negative comments from other people's opinions. Just keep focusing on your list. Next, take action. For example, if reading a book on self-improvement is on your list, find one that interests you and start reading. If you need suggestions on classic personal growth books, you can find them online or ask someone you respect for suggestions. YouTube is also a great place to find self-improvement videos like this one. If meeting new people is on your list, join a social group or volunteer for a local organisation. By doing something you haven't done before, you open your mind to new ideas and experiences. Whatever is on your list, continue to focus on what it is you want to do and look for ways to make it happen. Author John C. Maxwell wrote, "You will never change your life until you change something you do daily. Make a habit of doing something new every day." Choose your mindset. Success is not always linear, but the process of continuing to move forward is the goal. Develop a growth mindset rather than a fixed one. Having a growth mindset enables you to accept challenges and look for solutions, rather than giving up. It's about believing you can obtain new abilities and understanding through effort and determination. Open your mind to all the possibilities and resources that are available to you. If you aren't as far along your personal growth scale as you'd like to be, just tell yourself, "I'm not there yet." Then keep going. Alternatively, having a fixed mindset doesn't allow you to develop and evolve. Try new things, learn from your mistakes, and value constructive criticism. If you believe that you can't be wrong, it will be hard to accept new ideas and improve on your current circumstances and characteristics. Be willing to ask questions and admit when you don't know something. Every success story is a tale of constant adaptation, revision, and change, stated entrepreneur Richard Branson. Train your brain. Your brain will be taking on a lot of new information and stimulation once you decide to really work on your self-development. Creating some useful routines and habits can make it easier to stay on track and give yourself some structure to help organize your thinking. Exercise may sound like an old record, but the benefits are so helpful that it can never be played too many times. About 20 minutes of exercise to get your heart pumping has been proven to help with cognitive performance. If your brain is in top shape, you're in a good position to improve on just about everything. Another way to train your brain toward growth and positivity is to acknowledge all of your successes, no matter how small. Celebrating your achievements makes you feel good. The better you feel, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, the more productive you can be. Keep learning new things. Use parts of your brain that don't get visited as often. Learn a new language or dance. Choose something off your list that gives you an opportunity to do something different. Even taking an alternative route to the store or to work can kickstart your brain to pay attention to new things. If you haven't already developed a regular routine of restful sleep, this would be a great time to do so. The advantages of deep sleep are so beneficial for your brain that it would be hard to stay on track with all of your new challenges and growth opportunities without it. A quiet room free of lights and technology can help give you the restful night's sleep you need. Believe it or not, when your parents used to tell you to stand up straight, there was a good reason for that. Slouching and rolling your shoulders forward tells your brain you're in a submissive or rejected state. Your posture really does play a part in how you think. Smiling can also convey information to your brain about your disposition and environment. Our bodies communicate all kinds of information to our brains without us even realizing it. So, by taking care of ourselves, we are creating a better opportunity for our brains to work at an optimal level. Persistence. Growth requires persistence. While breaks to refresh can be helpful, continuing to move in a forward direction without fail will get you on the accelerated track. Gaining momentum from continually working on your goals can help things move faster. When you commit to the routines and habits you have established, you may find you are where you want to be sooner than you thought. Novelist Tobias Wolff said, "We are made to persist. That's how we find out who we are." Change and discomfort. One of the biggest catalysts of personal growth is change, because we always grow and learn new things when we expose ourselves to something different. Greek philosopher Socrates told us, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new." If we hang on too tightly to what is familiar and avoid something new and different, the possibility for self-improvement and personal growth will have little forward momentum. Change is the key to moving forward, expanding your level of awareness that there might be more than what you previously perceived. Another quick way to personal growth is often some level of discomfort. Nobody wants to find themselves in an uncomfortable situation. However, that is often one of the fastest ways to open a new door to self-improvement. Author Roy T. Bennett said, "It's only after you've stepped outside your comfort zone that you begin to change, grow, and transform. Learn to be comfortable with uncertainty and the unfamiliar, and see what you might find. Once you decide to move forward with self-improvement techniques, you may find that the road to personal growth and development accelerates on its own. With all of the books, workshops, retreats, and videos that are available, it's not a matter of finding information, it's a matter of how fast you want to soak it all in. Some people find that once they open the door to broader thinking and self-improvement, the desire and drive to learn more becomes a never-ending journey throughout their lives. Since nothing ever stays the same, there's always something new to learn, and the motivation to find out more becomes effortless. Psychologist Abraham Maslow stated, "In any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or step back into safety. And the fastest way to accelerate personal growth may just be to keep stepping forward." As you embark on your journey of personal growth and self-improvement, visual inspiration can play a powerful role in reinforcing your progress and keeping you motivated. That's why I wanted to share with you a resource that complements the strategies I've discussed in this video. The Art of Improvement Illustration Package is a collection of over 250 stunning illustrations from my videos, specifically designed to inspire and guide you on your path to becoming the best version of yourself. Each illustration captures key principles of personal development, empowering you with visual reminders of your goals and aspirations. Whether you're looking for a daily dose of motivation or a creative way to reflect on your progress, the illustration package offers a range of captivating visuals that cover the themes we've explored today and much more. From affirmations to goal setting, mindfulness to resilience, these illustrations serve as a constant reminder of your commitment to personal growth. To learn more about how the illustration package can accelerate your journey, visit artofimprovement.co.uk/illustrations today. Elevate your personal growth with the power of visual storytelling and unleash your potential. Remember, personal growth is a continuous process, and investing in tools that inspire and empower you can make all the difference. Take that next step forward, embrace change, and unlock your true potential with the Art of Improvement Illustration Package. The flow state. Maybe you've heard of it. Some call it being in the zone. It's that sweet spot where the outside world seems to melt away. Writers and inventors have been known to find it. Artists and athletes frequently experience it. It's been recognized for at least 30 years, but no doubt many people throughout history have made their way to this mysterious, yet accessible, state of mind. In 1990, psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi introduced the concept of flow and described it as being in a peak experience. He said, "The best moments usually occur if a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits, in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile." Author Stephen Kettler said it this way, "Time slows down, self vanishes, action and awareness merge. Welcome to flow." Achieving the balance. Although being in the flow requires specific conditions and actions, it's something anyone can achieve. Educator Carol Ann Tomlinson explained, "When challenge and skills are in balance, the activity is its own reward." One example might be when a runner reaches a point where they are pushing themselves to their ultimate best. They have the skills and ability to go the extra mile and challenge themselves to do so. As the brain responds with dopamine, the activity becomes almost effortless. The result is the state of flow. Research shows that when your brain is in the flow, the prefrontal cortex activity is reduced. This may be the reason why we feel distortions of time and less interest in things outside of ourselves. We become totally absorbed in the action and devote our entire focus on the activity at hand. Clear goals and no distractions. So how do you enter into the flow state? You might start by eliminating distractions. Journaling can be a useful tool to clear blockages that might limit your ability to focus. 5 or 10 minutes of meditation is another way to help calm your mind and let go of the endless stream of thoughts running through your mind. Turn off your cell phone. You can even put a sign on your office door that lets people know you do not want to be disturbed. That way, You can be sure to have the right environment to focus without interruption. Next, have a clear and specific goal in mind, with a definite outcome expected. When planning to work on a task, project, or activity, know with certainty what it is you are going to do. Pre-flow rituals. When you are preparing to enter your flow state, let your brain know what the plan is. People have routines and rituals in other parts of life without really realizing it. But it sets the scene for what you expect to happen. For example, many people have bedtime routines. They might get into their pajamas, have a cup of tea, brush their teeth, and read a few chapters in a book. This becomes familiar, and your brain knows the next step is going to be sleep. The same thing can occur when attempting to work in a state of flow. One example might be to prepare your room or workspace. Remove all distractions. Get a bottle of water and a snack or two to have handy throughout your work time. Sometimes you can be so consumed with your flow state, you might forget to eat or drink water. So setting that up ahead of time can help you to remember self-care while you're working. Set the lights to the level that suits the activity. Put on music if that's helpful to you. Remind other people that you don't want to be interrupted for a period of time. Another pre-flow ritual might be in preparing for a sports activity. Putting on your workout clothes and gathering the items you will use tells your brain you are getting ready to run, play a game, or climb a mountain. Put on the shoes you use only for this event. Get your water bottle and protein bars. Do some warm-up exercises. Plan, prepare, and implement your pre-flow rituals in the same way every time. By creating this repetitive activity before you start, you remind your brain what you're doing and what is coming next. Focus on the present moment. When you are working on any project or embarking upon a challenging activity, focusing on the present moment will give your full attention to it. If you allow your mind to be distracted by something you're going to do tomorrow, or other tasks that need to be done, you will never find yourself in the zone. Focus all of your attention and energy on achieving your goal. American mountaineer Aaron Ralston said, "I kind of entered a flow state. I've been there before when climbing. You are not thinking ahead. You are just thinking about what is in front of you each second. When you reach this state of being in the flow, it's not uncommon to experience timelessness. Have you ever been doing something and felt like you could do it forever? That's being in the flow. When your actions synchronize with your mindfulness in the moment and you are achieving a high level of productivity, feelings of flow may occur." Author Denise Lin said, "When you're being truly creative, time stands still, and you enter a dimension that can carry you beyond the ordinariness of everyday life. Discover what time of the day or night are your most productive hours. Use those times to your benefit to create space to enter into your flow state. What are the peak times when you are most aware, creative, and energized?" Personal control. Author Ken Robinson wrote, "One of the strongest signs of being in the zone is a sense of freedom and authenticity. When personal control is a part of what you're doing, it takes things to another level. When your talent, skills, and abilities are stretched to the limit and you are doing your best work, it can be almost euphoric. Telling yourself, 'I got this,' and becoming even more focused and absorbed in the moment is what flow is all about." Rewards and achievements. Receiving positive feedback can help keep you going in a state of flow. When your rewards and achievements are recognized along the way, it helps to keep you engaged. That's one reason video games are able to hold people's attention for so long. Every time you win a prize or get to the next level, you are energized to keep going. This can be utilized in any activity you are engaged in when you want to give yourself motivation. A runner gets physical rewards. They also gain encouragement when they reach milestones along the way. Success in what you're doing often increases your desire to do more. Whatever you are working on, remember to recognize your progress and give yourself rewards for your efforts. Activist and President Nelson Mandela said, "Remember to celebrate milestones as you prepare for the road ahead." Celebrating each level of a task completed can offer renewed excitement for the next step. Alternate time and energy. Your brain can't stay in the flow state indefinitely. You'll need to shift back to other tasks after a couple of hours. So prepare well and take advantage of this focused energy while you are connected with it. Use your time management skills to bring balance to daily living and make your flow sessions creatively productive. Alternating the flow state with other tasks can help your brain rest in between. For example, an artist may spend a period of time working intently on their masterpiece, then take a break and walk in a garden or do household chores. Mixing up your activities between flow states can help you refocus when you are ready to go back to it. Getting into the flow can be an experience that takes you to higher levels of accomplishment and creativity. When preparing to access this beneficial state of mind, begin by setting clear goals and eliminating distractions. Plan a pre-flow ritual to enable your brain to know what your expectations are. Take care of yourself throughout your work or activity, and make it easy to focus on the present moment. Remember to celebrate your achievements along the way and embrace the rewards. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Overthinking is easy to slip into. Think about a time you distinctly remember overthinking. You feel your heartbeat rise and your eyes dart. Thoughts fire at unprecedented speeds as you struggle to pick up the pieces. You work yourself up, imagining all kinds of scenarios in your head, overloading it with stress. Now ask yourself this: how many times have you felt silly or a strange wash of relief because the overthinking led to nothing? More often than not, situations aren't as complex as you may think. Overthinking can lead to procrastination and a lack of self-confidence, and destroys the time you have with yourself while potentially affecting those around you. Of course, this isn't a blanket statement. Neglecting certain aspects in fear of overthinking will cause avoidable issues. Still, it's worth noting the damage overthinking can cause. More significantly, however, there are plenty of solutions to overthinking. These aren't instant fixes. Undoing a thought process in your head is often a daunting task. So, before watching the rest of this video, take some time to forgive yourself. Self-improvement is all about understanding why you do things a certain way and moving forward. This is no different. Except you can't control external events. For anyone, overthinker or otherwise, control is critical for feeling in charge of our lives. It's represented in all kinds of ways, from your morning routine to planning a wedding. For overthinkers, however, the desire for control can extend further. It can extend to external events way beyond an overthinker's grasp. The more they take on in their mind, the heavier that responsibility weighs, even if there is no responsibility in the first place. Let's say you're an overthinker and you've just completed a job interview. You've done everything you can, asked the right questions, composed yourself throughout, and gave as good a version of yourself as possible. The interview ends, and all you can do is wait. For some, that's the chapter closed until you find out more. For those who struggle with overthinking, the brain goes into overdrive. Thoughts about your performance, how you ended the call and what emails you can send after the fact, all play on the mind when in reality, you've done all you can. Accepting that you can't always control external events helps put your mind at ease. Think of it like a roadblock for intrusive thoughts. A helpful way to bring this to life might be by writing down the things out of your control and sticking them somewhere prominent as a continued reminder of what not to think about. Taking action, no matter how imperfect. One of the biggest causes of procrastination is an overhanging sense of imperfection. While it is simple to write any number of tasks on your to-do list, actually completing them is another thing entirely. How many times have you done everything you set out to do in one day? One of the most difficult challenges facing overthinkers is getting started. Before beginning, overthinking can lead to performance anxiety and subsequent procrastination. It may sound too easy to simply take action, but the more you break it down, the easier it becomes. Again, let's use the job interview example from earlier. You've been tasked with creating a presentation for the potential role. It's due in just a few days, but you haven't started. The task itself seems daunting, as all manner of questions and scenarios run through your head. What if the technology lets me down? What if they hate the presentation? Where do I even begin? These questions and scenarios bounce around in an overthinker's head until the task itself has grown from a small hurdle into an unsurmountable climb. The solution, as we've touched on, is quite simple. Break it down. Find the smallest, most achievable part of your task and run with it. Pick something that doesn't require perfection and secure that coveted feeling of achievement. In this example, simply opening, titling, and saving a presentation document would be a solid, achievable start. Stop following through on all your thoughts. You may occasionally see videos captioned, "When you let the intrusive thoughts win doing the rounds" on TikTok and YouTube. Intrusive thoughts are the Alfred to the overthinker's Batman. The thing is, most people get them, and they can be completely random. For example, have you ever stepped in a lift and been tempted to push all of the buttons at once and run? Perhaps your intrusive thoughts are more innocent, such as wondering what would happen if you got on a random train instead of the usual. I don't know, but whatever way these thoughts materialize, they're there. A problem arises when these thoughts aren't left in the void your brain leaves for such a thing. Giving intrusive thoughts credence is a surefire way to overload your predominant line of thinking and overwhelm your mental energy resources. A tip if this is you: stop following through on all of your thoughts. Not all of them need to be listened to. It's as simple as recognizing that not every thought is a good one. Our minds are not immaculate. Human error is prevalent. You'd be forgiven for conflating this with self-doubt, as reminding yourself that not every thought needs listening to could cause you to doubt the authority of your voice. If you're worried that's the case, work on tracing the severity of your thoughts down. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 days? If the answer is no, chances are it's not worth your time. Live in the present moment instead. I know what you're probably thinking. Living in the moment is advice flung around in a far too carefree nature amongst the self-improvement community. But, as with a lot of seemingly tired cliches, its positive effects ring true. Overthinking is a challenge we face when we dedicate too much of our present-day energy on our future selves. Going through life with your future self in mind is a very healthy trait to have, but if taken too far, your present day is at risk. Overthinking about details out of your control in fear of the potential for damage negates any effort you put into enjoying your life, as you'll never get to enjoy the moment you're in. Living in the present moment helps to refocus and recalibrate wasted energy into a force of good. It can come in the form of simple exercises such as this. Look around you and notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. Tasks like this and journaling help highlight a sense of self in the present moment, freeing up time for self-reflection and limiting overthinking space. Understand motivation differently. While at the outset motivation is merely the energy required to carry out a task or activity, if you look deeper, you'll find a critical cog in your well-being and your relationship with yourself. Firstly, let's view motivation from a typical standpoint. When the deadline for something like sending a bunch of emails or completing some tedious coursework comes along, you may find yourself searching for inspiration, other than the consequences of not completing the task at hand. That search is often left wanting. Motivation doesn't work like that. You can't spend your day waiting for it to float into your lap. Instead, you must simply begin, whatever that looks like. Think back to earlier in this video when we spoke about taking action, no matter how imperfect. That applies here. When you're up and running, the motivation will follow. That human need to finish something we've started. That snowball effect is motivation. To solve the issue of overthinking, understanding how motivation works can be a vital tool in your arsenal. When you know about the snowball effect, it becomes easier to let go of the intrusive thoughts and unrealistic what-ifs. Overthinking ends when you begin. While some of these steps may make it seem simple to stop overthinking, the reality is different. For many, it's how their brain works, so challenging that authority may seem daunting. If that's you, then fear not. You're not alone. In summary, throughout the solutions featured in this video, 2 key themes stand out: acceptance and action. When you forgive yourself for not being able to control everything, you can put your best and most important foot forward. Overthinking can cripple the sharpest of minds, So it's important to remember that it doesn't make you any less of a person. It simply means putting your present self in the driver's seat and putting faith in your decision making. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Are you a morning person? Some are and some aren't. Regardless of the time you start your day, you most likely have some sort of morning routine. Most people have consistent habits that begin when they first get out of bed. These may be things like drinking coffee, eating something, maybe checking your phone for social media posts, or other random interruptions that may pop up. But what if your morning routine was planned out in such a way to make your day more productive? Could a morning routine actually make you more successful? What kind of activities and intentions might help you start your day on a more positive note? Let's take a look at some reasons why a morning routine could make you more successful. Who does that? When you think about people's morning habits, you might be surprised to learn that the majority of successful people have morning routines. These are specifically planned activities and behaviors that are done each day with the intention of promoting better health and positive outcomes. NBA star Stephen Curry is said to start his day with a fresh smoothie or avocado toast, followed by a healthy breakfast of vegetables, protein, and a starch. Exercise is the next step in his morning routine. Novelist Jane Austen started her day around 8 a.m, playing piano. Others, including Oprah Winfrey, practice meditation in their morning routine. One thing successful people have in common is that they create their own morning routine. They don't let it create itself. Author L. Luna said, "Whether the day is for writing, designing, or painting, the consistent practice of a morning routine is the doorway into it all." Set the tone for the day. So how do you create a morning routine? Well, to start with, think about what type of activities might be meaningful to you. What could you do to clear your head, move your body, and set up your day for success? Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, developed a morning routine method called SAVERS, SAVERS. It gives suggestions on what you might want to include in your own schedule when creating your morning routine. S. Silence. This could be things like breathing exercises or meditation. Also, a quiet, mindful walk in nature might be a good silent activity. A. Affirmations. Repeating specific statements that are positive can be uplifting. Things like practicing gratitude, releasing negative thoughts, or statements that promote success and happiness are some examples. V. Visualizations. Visualize your perfect day. Imagine how things would go and what you would do. E. Exercise. Decide what type of exercise feels best for you. It could be low-impact aerobics, yoga, gentle stretching, or even a long hard run. Whatever you like to do to get your body moving. R. Reading. Wake up your mind with some type of reading, whether it be a book, article, or other material. Just make sure it's not social media or news. You can catch up on those later. Each morning, I begin my day by reading a PDF summary of one of my videos. It's like a quick and powerful lesson on how to improve myself. It leaves me feeling inspired and ready to grow every single day. S. Scribing. Writing out your thoughts is another great activity to do first thing in the morning. Journaling, making a list of all the things you are thankful for, or jotting down creative ideas are some of the ways to clear your head. You might try using some of these ideas, or add in some of your own, such as drinking water, cuddling with your beloved pet, and eating breakfast. It doesn't matter what order you do them in. Structure them in a way that fits your time schedule. Just 5 to 10 minutes of each activity could be enough. The main point is to have a set routine that you do every day, that promotes health, wellness, and supports your goals for success. Philosopher Marcus Aurelius said it like this: "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Having a well thought out and personalized morning routine may help you to be more successful, because you will have prepared yourself mentally and physically to be ready for the day. And you have put forth positive expectations for the best possible outcomes. Minimizing decisions. To make the most of your morning routine, planning and preparation can help things run smoothly. One tool to use is to avoid mental fatigue by minimizing decisions. Research estimates that humans make roughly 35,000 decisions each day. What to wear, what to eat, when to eat, where to go, what to say, and on throughout the average day. Every decision you make uses mental energy, which reduces brain power. As your brain becomes weary, it's harder to make quick and rational decisions. While some decisions have to be made on the spot, many can be predetermined or eliminated altogether. For example, if you don't have to decide what to wear each day, you can get dressed without question. Entrepreneur Steve Jobs was notorious for wearing a black turtleneck, blue jeans, and New Balance sneakers. One less decision to make allowed him to focus on something else more important. Not everyone wants to wear the same look every day, but the point is that if you can eliminate some smaller choices, then you might be able to focus your thinking on other tasks that are important to you. Decluttering can also play a role in having a morning routine with less decisions to make. If you have a smaller number of options to choose from, the decision can be much easier and less time-consuming. Do you have a favourite coffee cup? Fine, use that one. Wash it and put it away when you're done with it. Don't look in the cupboard to choose another cup each time. That may seem like a small choice, but eliminating the little decisions add up. Having less items in general can help with decluttering. If you're not taking time looking for things amongst all your belongings, you can put more effort into doing the things that matter. You may be more successful spending time on reaching your goals, rather than being distracted by other things that catch your eye. Pre-planning your meals can also help with decision fatigue, and you'll likely make healthier choices. What would be your best option instead of just choosing what sounds good in the moment or is available? Oftentimes we have our favourites and tend to eat the same things over and over again. If your breakfast consists of coffee and a donut, because it's quick and easy, what would be a better option? What if, by planning ahead, you were able to make the healthier option part of your morning routine? Maintaining the routine. Staying on track with your routine is key to your success. If you make it excessively hard, it may not last. Choose activities that are meaningful to you. Start out slow and add more as you progress. Make the transitions flow easily from one activity to another. Pre-plan and prep the day before. Lay out the clothes that you plan to wear. Have equipment or reading materials in place. Make up any food prep that can be done the night before, so it's ready to go. Eliminate distractions and give yourself rewards and encouragement, so that you look forward to your morning routine. Be flexible. When planning your morning routine, there may be times when it's necessary to change or add new things to your agenda. This is normal and to be expected as you grow and new situations develop. For example, if your job, seasons, home situation, or interests change, you may feel the need to rearrange your routine. Be flexible as you add new steps or eliminate old ones. The point is that you continue with a routine that you do every day, and that the routine remains empowering and moving toward supporting your success. When you develop a morning routine with intention, you set the tone for the day. The activities you select should help you to be more effective and have a healthier body and mindset. Author Daniel Handler reminds us, morning is an important time of day, because how you spend your morning can often tell you what kind of day you are going to have. So, why not set yourself up for success when you start your day? Ever felt stuck amidst life's storms and wondered how to keep pushing forward? Well, today, I'm going to show you how. Life isn't just about the sunny days. It's about dancing in the rain and finding hope during the darkest storms. By the end of this video, you'll have strategies to weather any storm life throws at you, and you might even find yourself looking forward to the next challenge. But first, have you ever wondered why some people seem to sail smoothly through life's hardships while others get stuck? Life is not always smooth sailing. That's probably not a surprise to most people. Even so, it still seems to knock the wind out of our sails when life gets hard. So what do you do when things aren't going the way you'd hoped? Or you get broadsided by an unexpected event or circumstance? Let's take a look at a few ideas for how to weather the storm without sinking your ship. Expect the unexpected. Since life is full of ups and downs, it shouldn't be unexpected when life gets hard. Planning ahead and being prepared may help you to not be caught off guard when problems arise. Saving money for a rainy day fund can help with financial pitfalls. Having other safety nets in place might help lessen the blow of things like illness, job loss, or relationship problems. Life will inevitably throw some challenges your way, so having a plan of what to do can make it easier to navigate unpredictable circumstances. Most people are more upset about things they didn't see coming. If you can adjust your expectations in such a way that you are aware of possible calamities, then you may find it easier to deal with them when they come. Author and motivational speaker Dennis Waitley suggests, expect the best, plan for the worst, and prepare to be surprised. What's in your lifeboat? When putting together a plan to prepare for hard times, what type of preventative or recovery measures would you include? You might consider practices like saving money, guarding your health with reasonable nutrition and fitness, and being accountable in your daily activities and work ethics. Doing your best to stay on top of things and keep them in good working order might help prevent some difficult situations. But what about the things you can't control? What if you've done all that you can do, but something still happens that rocks your boat? What then? Well, if you've taken preventative steps to avoid catastrophe, then at least you'll still be afloat. If you've set money aside in the event of a job loss or household repair, you may end up having to use your savings. But at least it was there and helped you get through it. The same goes for your health. If you have an illness or accident, but are otherwise in pretty good shape, you may likely get through it and can get back on track. Being prepared to the best of your ability can often help you navigate much of life's rough seas. But as prepared as you are, unforeseen circumstances may still occur. Having a self-care first aid kit of sorts might be one way to help you recover. One thought to remember is that most things are temporary, so don't allow yourself to spiral into despair. Be mindful of your self-talk and take extra care of yourself. Your kit might also include drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, and doing things you enjoy. Self-care is not a luxury. Your body and mind are essentials, so treat them well. When things are out of your control, remind yourself of what you do control. In a motivational speech to the Cleveland Browns football team, Ryan Holiday reminded them that all they could control is how they play. You can't control other people, the weather, if life is fair or not, the past, or any other thing outside of yourself. You can only control your own thoughts, words, and actions. Use your anchor. When life gets hard, it can feel like you're caught in the middle of a swirling cloud of chaos. Trying to find the ground under your feet and clarity in your head can be a real challenge. But finding something solid to anchor yourself to can help you stabilize when things seem out of control. Start by sizing up the situation. Gather the facts and consider possible solutions. By remaining calm in difficult times, you can make better decisions about what to do next. If you're dealing with something like a sudden emergency, you'll need to use rational thinking to address immediate concerns. If the situation has to do with emotional and long-term consequences, you may find you need extra support for the long haul. You may have heard the phrase, spoken by American businessman Joseph Kennedy, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Trying to be tough and use sheer willpower to get through something may be your first reaction. But be aware that willpower is a depleting asset. You may be able to do it for a while, but then become exhausted and need something else to hold on to. Being tough may actually look more like having the right attitude, tools, knowledge and support, rather than thinking you need to steamroll over it all by yourself. Most people are going to need some form of assistance when navigating hard times. For example, If you have a problem with plumbing or electricity, there may be some things you can do yourself. But most likely, there will be times when you need help. If you are sick, you might need medical assistance. If you lose a job or a relationship, you might need emotional support. Having some idea of who or what is the anchor that holds you in place until you can get back on your feet is imperative to surviving hard times. Think about who your support people are. Friends and family might be your first line of defense for help when things get hard. Mentors, teachers, and counselors are also good resources for more assistance. Professionals like doctors and home repair specialists might also be on your call list. No one expects you to go it alone in hard times, so make use of the anchors available to you. Allow yourself to accept help from others to lighten your load. Ride it out. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting through whatever it is. Former Prime Minister Winston Churchill said, "If you're going through hell, keep going." When times are hard, the last thing you want to do is stay in that situation. Don't allow yourself to spiral into negative thinking. Just allow it to be and wait for it to pass. Breathing exercises and meditation can be helpful tools when trying to calm your mind and maintain composure in difficult times. If your hard time is something you don't need to do anything about, but you just have to get through it, look for distractions to help pass the time. Watch a movie or spend time with family or friends. Time in nature can often have a healing effect too, as well as time spent with your favourite pet. Regardless of what caused the hard time you are going through, it may be helpful to remind yourself that you have done hard things before, and you can get through this too. Author Jodi Picoult wrote, "The human capacity for burden is like bamboo, far more flexible than you'd ever believe at first glance. Sail when the sun is shining. Although life can be hard, there are ways to enjoy the moments of sunshine in between. Even if your hard times are ongoing, there is always something you can do to make the best of it." Musician Stevie Wonder said, "Just because a man lacks the use of his eyes doesn't mean he lacks vision." He did not allow his blindness to hold him back. Take advantage of the moments when things are going well and use that momentum to give you a boost. Keep an attitude of gratitude and build your reserves when life feels good. Yes, life is hard, but you are the captain of your life. And when hard times come, it's up to you to have a plan. It's up to you to be prepared and informed. Philosopher Thomas Aquinas said, "If the highest aim of a captain were to preserve his ship, he would keep it in the port forever." But people were not meant to be harboured and kept from the experiences of life. So when hard times come, have a plan. Be as prepared as possible and don't be afraid to put on your SOS signal for help. Remember that life is always changing, and watch for better days ahead. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Ever wondered what separates the successful from the average? Let's unlock that secret. In today's fast-paced world, standing still is moving backward. If you're someone who aims for success, then there's one habit you can't afford to skip: constant learning. But why is this so crucial, and how does it make a difference in your journey to the top? Stick around, and you'll discover not only the why, but the how to integrate it into your daily life. Every piece of information you've ever acquired has been learned. Every single one. I could end the video at that, but no one will have learned anything. While learning new pieces of information every day is one thing, consistently choosing to is another. For many people, the most concentrated time for learning takes place in a school or a university. That's where you go to develop your mind and learn about all manner of things, allowing you to make choices and become the person you are today. That's great, but the education system lets us all go eventually. For the vast majority of your life, learning will be in your hands. Here's the thing. While school teaches you that you must learn something to pass a test, which gives you a qualification to get into university or find a job, it doesn't teach the benefits of long-term learning. Constant learning, whatever form that takes, is the key to success. Not only will it push you toward achieving your goals, but it will also make you a more rounded human being. Learning breeds new perspectives. To understand more about the importance of constant learning in reaching success, first, we must take a look at what happens when you neglect to learn. Understanding the forgetting curve. In 1885, Hermann Ebbinghaus hypothesized the forgetting curve, the decrease in the ability of the brain to retain memory over time. He created a graph which suggests that although you retain 100% of new information in your short-term memory immediately, within 2 days, retention drops by 60%. Without relearning the information at hand, the brain can only keep 10% 1 week after initial retention. Dr. Art Kohn, a professor at Portland State Business School, goes one step further, stating 50% of information is forgotten after 1 hour, 70% in 24 hours, and 90% in a week. The science is clear. Then, when we don't place enough importance on consistent learning, new information will leak out of our brains and back into the wilderness of lost thoughts. Our short-term memory is usually very good. As Dr. Kohn says, most of what we remember in the moment is of short-term importance, thus forcing our brains to reshuffle bits of information according to their immediate value. It is quite literally in our nature to forget things, but it's well within your power to make the transition from short to long-term memory a smooth one. Why challenging yourself is a top priority. In Parks and Recreation, there's a scene where Andy, played by Chris Pratt, is looking to start college classes. He attends various demo lessons, one of which is guitar for beginners. The lead singer and guitarist of a band already, there's no need for him to be there. He knows things a beginner shouldn't, and it's a walk in the park. Andy, perhaps the most joyful character in all of television, sees this as a win. After all, the chance to be the best in class isn't something he's accustomed to. Quickly, however, he realizes that it's more boring than triumphant. In the end, he leaves and finds something new, a challenge. Challenging yourself must be a top priority if you're trying to be as successful as possible. That means consistently putting yourself around people more intelligent than you and placing yourself in new environments. In other words, being in a position to learn. When you don't challenge yourself, it's easy to fall into habits. While these habits make us more efficient at doing the same thing, learning is about challenging ourselves and growing by doing things we've not done before. For example, you're an experienced blog writer. You've written about, let's say, finance for a few years now. Every article you write feels under your control. The words flow with ease and it feels efficient. After a while, the lack of fresh stimulation gets stale. Pretty soon, the repetition of topics and buzzwords bothers you and leads to dissatisfaction with the work you once felt such pride for. The key? You guessed it. Challenging yourself. This doesn't mean throwing away everything you know and learning to write about horse racing, for example, but it's an invitation to yourself to evolve. You could challenge yourself to become an author or write about finance from perspectives you might not have initially. Whatever you do, make sure it's from an evolution standpoint. As Pokemon taught us, to level up, you need more XP points. For humans, that means a lifetime of learning. Learning is an immeasurable long-term benefit. For millions of families around the world, Christmas time is for connecting with loved ones, gift-giving, and eating piles of food. It's also a chance to play board games with your grandparents and consistently lose due to their continually surprising wealth of knowledge. It's no surprise when you think about the lifetime of information they've learned and gathered. It is the unspoken superpower of Trivial Pursuit. Anyway, as you can imagine, there is a long-term, perhaps a lifelong benefit to learning, whether you're active about it or not. If you are, though, then the key to success is within your sights. Let's think back to Hermann Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve once again. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the man behind the flow state, has said, on estimate, the brain can take in 120 bits of information a second. The Fast Company reported on research which concluded that your brain can only handle about 60 bits of information when talking to someone. Therefore, it's easy to understand how leaky our brains can be. Information is on a constant merry-go-round, shuffling and reshuffling old and new things to remember. It's also precisely why constant learning is vital for your long-term success. As you grow older, the information and everything you've learned will grow old with you. Just as the mathematics you were taught as a teenager feels obsolete now, everything you've learned in the day gone will eventually become somewhat outdated. Your brain will desire more, and rightfully so. Learning feeds the brain and gives it fuel to run. The creative benefits of learning cannot be underestimated. Think about any moment of inspiration you've had in the past. It's likely been triggered by something you've learned and stored in your subconscious, or the brain has flagged it as a high priority in the short-term memory bank. Constant learning will eventually bring out creative ideas. These don't need to be books or paintings either. Creative ideas take all shapes and sizes. An accountant may figure out a financial problem quicker with a little nudge from their creativity. Or you may have figured out a way to arrange your bedroom perfectly. It doesn't matter. The point is, creativity is all around and affects so much of life. It doesn't need to be a daunting undertaking either. Constant learning comes in simple forms: books, podcasts, films. But the key to success lies in where you put your attention. It doesn't need to be constantly directed toward your career. Success is about trusting where your curiosity takes you and knowing when to cut out all of the noise. Creativity's proximity to learning and its subsequent impact on success cannot be underestimated. Creativity is the most enjoyable side effect of constant learning. The key to success lies in constant learning. Throughout this video, there's one clear message. Constant learning will greatly increase your chances of a successful life. But let's make one thing clear. Although your brain is learning new bits of information constantly, it can't learn useful things if it isn't stimulated enough. Every waking hour, your brain is almost constantly ready to receive new memories and forget unuseful ones. Constant learning requires exposure to challenges, new environments, and reimagined feelings. Whether that is opening yourself up to vulnerability in a relationship or simply giving a random, unfamiliar book genre a try, it doesn't matter. Exposure to new information is what your brain thrives on. Without it, life will not flow. So, while you should acknowledge and remember the rush that comes from mastering something, don't allow it to override the human passion to evolve, innovate, and above all, learn. Learning is at the crux of everything we do. It's the beating heart of this channel and the driving force behind human evolution. We seek new feelings, new adventures, and new understandings of the world we live in. We seek success. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Ever wondered why some people study less but score more? Let's dive into the secrets behind it. Most of us have faced the frustration of forgetting, despite hours spent studying. But what if the key wasn't in the duration, but in the method? Stick around and we'll unveil 5 game-changing techniques to supercharge your study sessions and boost retention. Imagine that you just stayed up very late last night, studying for a big test. You focused all of your energy on memorizing as much information as you could. You drank coffee and energy drinks to keep yourself awake and finally crashed in the wee hours of the morning. Then you went to take your test. You felt tired, frazzled, and ended up forgetting half of what you had studied. Sound familiar? Well, what if you were to discover a better way to learn information and remember it for a much longer period of time? What if you not only memorized facts and descriptions, but actually understood them? Here are 5 tips that may help you learn to study more effectively. Tip number 1. Smarter, not harder. Knowing how to study is the first step in successful learning. Things like having a comfortable workspace can be one part of your plan. but it's not the only place you can study. Some people believe that they need to set hours of time aside to sit down, read, and memorize all the information they're trying to learn. But this method isn't really very effective. Your brain becomes tired, the information can become scattered, and you can end up with not much to show for all of your hard work. Learning some techniques that may be new to you can be the path to greater success. By discovering how your brain works, you can set up your study time to maximize the natural tendencies for learning and storing information. The idea is to process information so that it can be stored longer and organized for easy retrieving. Utilizing the best study tools available can put you on the path to better success. Paul J. Mayer, founder of Success Motivation Institute, stated, "Productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of a commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort." Tip number 2. Use spaced repetition techniques. Research shows that spaced repetition is the best way to learn anything. By actively recalling something in spaced intervals, your brain can reinforce the connections that help you to remember things. In comparison, when you study passively, your brain doesn't process it in the same way. If you are reading a textbook, making some notes, or watching a video multiple times, you may notice the information at the time, but it can be quickly dismissed. In order to move it into longer-term memory storage, you may need to take a different route. Short bursts of studying, followed by recalling the information later, has been shown to produce better long-term effects. The main thing is to retest yourself with active recall, multiple times, spaced some time apart. The amount of time between can be based on several factors, such as the difficulty of the information, how much of it is new to you, and how much time you have to learn it. For example, flashcards can be a helpful tool for this type of studying. You can make paper flashcards or use an app or other digital tool. Most people are familiar with flashcards. They can be efficient and convenient, making it easy to do quick reviews in small intervals throughout the day. To make flashcards, on one side write down a question or leave a blank to fill in. On the other side is the answer. Study the cards for a short period of time, then put them away. Study again in a few hours. If that's too easy, leave a longer space of time before you try again. You can adjust the span of intervals according to how well you are remembering the information. Another method of short repetition studying might be to read new material and then give yourself 1 minute to write down anything you can remember. If you find you missed some of the points of the chapter or article, you can try again later. Spaced repetition can help your brain retain more information because it is being reinforced for a longer, more permanent amount of time. A simple example is, if you meet someone one time, you may easily forget their name. But if you see them over and over again, it's no problem at all to remember them. Tip number 3. Utilize mnemonic devices. You've likely been using mnemonics since you were a child and may not have even realized it. The word mnemonic was derived from the Greek goddess of memory, Mnemosyne. Basically, a mnemonic device is any learning technique that helps you to remember information. One example is something children do in learning their alphabet. By learning the ABC song, they can memorize 26 letters. Other types of mnemonic devices are things like acronyms and acrostics. By using the first letter of a word to create a sentence, or something that sounds like a word, it can trigger your memory to remember a larger group of words. One sample could be the phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." This can help you remember the computational order in math problems. P equals parenthesis, E equals exponents, M equals multiplication, D equals division, A equals addition, and S equals subtraction. By memorizing the simple phrase, the order of operations can be easily recalled. By creating a phrase or word that incorporates parts of what you are trying to remember, you may be able to recall the information more easily. Another memory tool you might try is called the method of loci, also known as the memory palace technique, which has to do with remembering things in relation to their location. To use this method, create a list of things you want to remember. For example, let's say you have a shopping list of apples, birdseed, a blue sweater, frozen corn, and a phone charger. First, try visualizing your home and all of its rooms. Imagine an item from your list in each room. The more outlandish you create the picture in your mind, the more likely you are to remember it. For example, imagine walking into your home and seeing a basket of apples in the entryway. As you walk into the living room, you see a giant green parrot eating birdseed, wearing a blue sweater. You continue on into the kitchen and see the entire room filled with frozen corn. Phone chargers hanging from the ceiling complete the silly scene. This same method can be used for any group of items that you want to recall later. The brain remembers pictures better than abstract words and concepts, so this can be a very effective study tool. Songs, rhymes, and chunking groups of numbers or items together are more examples of mnemonic devices. There are plenty of fun and effective mnemonic ideas online to add to your study toolbox. Tip number 4. Prioritize discipline over motivation. Feeling motivated to do something can be helpful, but it's not predictable. You might be excited about something for a while, but if you get tired or distracted, your motivation can start to disappear. That's when discipline comes in. Setting regular times to study and doing it whether you feel like it or not can help you stay on track and make progress. Navy SEAL Jocko Willink said, "Don't expect to be motivated every day to get out there and make things happen. You won't be. Don't count on motivation. Count on discipline." Tip number 5. Combine information and knowledge. Learning something is more than just remembering facts and figures. It's making sense of how it all fits together. Spaced repetition, mnemonics, and other methods of studying are all good ways to help remember information. But memorizing something and understanding it can be two different things. Understanding what you are learning is an important component of studying. Use tools that connect relational items and discover how they fit together to reach a deeper form of learning. For example, it's not enough for a scientist to know that chemicals react. They need to know how and why to interpret the results. By using effective study techniques, you may be able to spend less time studying and more time learning. By storing information in your long-term memory, you can use those thoughts to expand your knowledge and build on it. Musician B.B. King said, "The beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you." Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. One of the world's wealthiest billionaires, Warren Buffett, is quoted as having said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." This concept may seem confusing to some, wondering how anyone could be really successful if they say no to most things. Wouldn't you think that by taking advantage of every invitation and opportunity, you could have a full and profitable portfolio of investments and accomplishments? You might think so, but by discovering how really successful people look at opportunities, you might find that by being more selective in where you put your time and energy, you'll produce better results. Let's take a look at why saying no to some things can be a big yes to bigger things. Why say no? The first thing you might want to ask yourself is, why say no to almost every opportunity that comes my way? It might seem counterintuitive to say no when trying to make a success of something, but saying yes to too many things can leave you feeling stressed and fragmented. Entrepreneur Diana Kander said, "We overcommit because we don't want to disappoint, and we disappoint because we overcommit. By limiting the number of requests you accept and commit to, you could spend more time, energy, and money on the things that you really want to focus on. By saying no to things that don't align with your highest goals and prioritizing projects that are important to you, you may find yourself more successful." What really matters? Then, how do you decide when to say no and when to say yes? Warren Buffett had another thought on choosing the best opportunities to help you reach your goals. He called it the 5-25 rule. First, make a list of 25 things you want to do. Then, think about each item on your list and ask yourself a few questions. 1. What are your values and priorities? The things you say yes to need to mirror your highest beliefs and expectations for yourself. If there are any items on your list that don't meet that criteria, you can cross them off first thing. 2. What are your goals? Be specific when outlining your goals for success. As you look over the list of 25 possible opportunities, ask yourself if any of these are contrary or unrelated to what you want to accomplish. If they won't bring you closer to your goal, cross them off. 3. Which things on the list might improve your life in some way? Would it be a healthy choice? Will it bring more wealth? Will it enable you to spend enough time with your loved ones? If it's not something that will enhance your life in some way, cross it off. 4. Will it make a difference? Will it have a positive effect that improves life for you or the world? Does it matter? If not, you may want to cross that off too. Once you have looked over your list and crossed out all of the ones that are clearly not a good fit for you, then look at what's left and circle your top 5. Those 5 choices are the ones to focus on. By saying no to the others, you can now concentrate on putting all your effort into making the ones that are most important to you the most successful. Entrepreneur Steve Jobs stated, "If you are working on something you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you." By working through your list and finding your top 5, you can feel pulled by the enthusiasm for the things you care most about. What are you saying no to? When you say no to something, you are giving yourself permission to say yes to other things. You can't do your best if you are overbooked and overwhelmed. If you already have too much on your plate, say no. If you feel the request isn't a good match for your interests or skill set, say no. If it's a conflict of interest, say no. And if it seems too good to be true, definitely say no. Say no to distractions and interruptions. Don't take phone calls that will pull you away from the work you're trying to do. Skip the dramas that try to take you away from what needs to be done. Say no to substances that dull your senses and influence your decisions and behaviors in a negative way. Author John C. Maxwell wrote, "Learn to say no to the good, so you can say yes to the best." Think deliberately about what is in your best interest and has the most potential. Say no to anything that is not going to help you get where you want to be. No is a simple word, but it can be powerful. How to say no? So, how do you say no? It may be a simple word, but it's not always so simple to apply it. But saying no can actually make your yeses more meaningful. When you do say yes to something, the people you are working with will know you are fully engaged and committed to the project. When you say no with certainty and intention, it becomes clear to the other person that this is not a project or task that you are willing or able to complete for them. Once they accept your decision, they can look for other options. Being consistently honest about what you cannot or will not do is a gesture of kindness that frees the other person to do something else. Saying no can be a skill in itself. You don't need to be hurtful or rude, but you do want to come across as confident and let the other person know you have made up your mind. Say no without over-explaining or apologizing, and be straightforward. A few examples might sound like, "No, I can't prioritize that at this time." "No, I won't be able to attend that event." "No, that wouldn't fit in with my current schedule." "No, but I might know of someone else who can help you. I'll send you their contact information." Or just a simple, "No, thank you." If the other person persists or needs more explanation for your refusal, you can simply say that you are limiting your commitments at this time and you've made your decision. Declining a proposal by letter or email might be a bit more lengthy if it's a business prospect. But still use the guidelines of courtesy and firmly state your position on the subject. People generally appreciate an honest and timely response. Motivational author Brian Tracy said, "The only way to get things done is by setting clear goals and making sure that every action you take aligns with those goals." Personal well-being and empowerment. Saying no can make you feel more free, less pressured, and more in control of your life. Don't let other people set your schedule or make your decisions. Author Gary Liu wrote, "This is your world. shape it, or someone else will. When you feel in control of your life, you will probably feel happier and more excited about the things you say yes to. Your health and personal well-being are important, so say no to things that don't align with your vision of success. Weed out what leaves you feeling drained and unfulfilled, and invest in what brings you growth. Really successful people say no to almost everything because they know the value of their time, energy, and money. They only put their best efforts towards something they know is in line with the bigger picture. Saying no to things that won't accomplish that allows them to stay focused on the things that will bring them closer to their goals. Anything else is an unnecessary distraction. Being fully engaged in those things that matter will make all the difference. American business billionaire Wayne Huizenga stated, "Some people dream of success, while other people get up every morning and make it happen." By saying yes to those things that make you want to get up and make things happen, and no to those that don't, you're making choices that could lead you to become a really successful person. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Think about all the times you said things like, "I need to drink more water," or "I need to do more reading." While these issues can feel more like mild irritations than wider life issues most of the time, they're all reflective of one thing: your self-discipline. Essentially, it's the continuation of good, healthy habits that ultimately improve your life. Put it this way: when life is running smoothly, work is flowing, you're not making silly mistakes, and you feel positive within yourself and your relationships. Everything is the culmination of self-discipline. Each time you put yourself in a position to win, you're profiting from all of the previous times you've shown a sense of self-discipline. Without that trait, it's easy to slip up and break a disciplined streak. The only person who can hold you accountable is you, potentially causing self-deprecation to creep in too. It's important not to let that happen. Self-discipline is like any muscle in your body. With enough training, you can grow and improve it. Primarily, this revolves around heightened self-awareness, starting with knowing why it's so important and how it can affect your life. You can't always rely on your environment. Let's say you're trying to complete an online course. You set everything up to maximize productivity: a Pomodoro app, relaxing music, no distractions, and a belly full of food. You start, but you can hear noise from next door, or perhaps a roommate has turned the PlayStation on down the hall. All of a sudden, your environment has changed, and there are things out of your control. These changes can become distractions which can derail any work rate, no matter how prepared you are. Scenarios like this are precisely why you can't purely rely on your environment. Of course, you can completely recluse yourself, but for those living in cities and even housing estates, distractions aren't hard to come by. Self-discipline is the bouncer to your mind. It's the force that allows you to keep plugging forward, day by day. A disciplined mind will learn to view the distractions for what they are: mere obstacles in the way of that drug-like feeling of accomplishment, no matter how small. A disciplined mind is a prepared one. There's no doubt about that. In the example just mentioned, you can prepare for distractions easily if you know what grabs your attention. But it should be noted that discipline doesn't only lie in how you set up your environment. It also lies in how you react. Do you follow your wavering attention or bring it back in line? Knowing the answer is the first step in this process. Discipline will teach you how vital your environment is to success, so it will do everything to set up and maintain a harmonious, success-inducing place to habit. Things don't happen overnight. When you're next having a pensive moment of self-reflection and decide you're unhappy with where your life is heading, remember this phrase: when in doubt, zoom out. Its original meaning comes from analysing stock markets. The idea is that Even if your portfolio or the value of the company you've invested in is down, you'll do well to zoom out. The situation may look bad in the present moment, but overall, the value will be much higher than 10 years ago. For example, we can transfer a similar policy to everyday life, as progress is not on a constant upward trajectory. It's not all one-way traffic. There are ups and downs in every stage of life. But if you pull back and look at things from a more overall standpoint, you'll likely see the progress you've made. There's a reason we often look back on old versions of ourselves and wonder, what was I thinking? This goes to show that sustained progress, success, does not happen overnight. In fact, overnight successes are mislabeled. They are the product of years, perhaps even decades of effort, practice, and patience. It takes time to be successful. Let us not forget. That being said, you might end up being successful at something you have no interest in at the minute. Take Vera Wang, one of the world's most famous designers. She didn't enter the fashion industry until she was 40 years old, as she was a journalist and figure skater beforehand. It highlights just how little we know about our future and that success isn't an immediate guarantee. All of this showcases just how vital self-discipline is in the search for success. For starters, discipline is knowing that the effort you put in now will be rewarded at a later date. Immediate gratification is unsustainable, especially for motivation, something we'll get into shortly. It's the long-term gain that must stand out in a disciplined mind, whether that's as you expected or something completely different. Success is built in the day-to-day resilience that comes with self-discipline. Motivation fades. Building on from the last point, it's important to note motivation's role in maintaining a disciplined mind and life. Motivation isn't sustainable if you wait for it to hit. Instead, you must take action. The rest will follow. Once you've started something, it's difficult to stop. As this video just mentioned, you must understand the value of immediate and delayed gratification. Here are some examples to help explain. Immediate gratification. Putting off a cumbersome piece of work to play a video game. Here, you're choosing your short-term, present self. The work is seen as negative, and the video game is positive. It feels great at that moment and can often feel like putting yourself first. Delayed gratification. Choosing to complete the work instead of playing the video game. For example, here, you're choosing your long-term, future self on a number of levels. For starters, by doing the work at that moment, you're clearing room for your future self, making any other work less daunting and putting yourself in control of your schedule. Then you've got the bonus of freeing up time to purposefully play the video game, rather than doing it instead of something more important. You're putting in the work now, delaying the gratification for undoubtedly more substantial rewards in the future. Keeping discipline is about consistently reminding yourself of what it's all for, that glowing, achievable future success. Adult life doesn't have the stabilizers on. Let's be honest, most of adult life is about making it up as you go along. Fake it until you make it, if you will. As a child and young adult, you have life stabilizers firmly attached. Mistakes can be rectified, and consequences aren't as severe. Adulthood takes those stabilizers off and thrusts you towards the instability of independence, making everything a bit too real at times. When you break it down, you're responsible for how successful you are or will become. Building that success must come from within, because relying on others for your progress and overall life quality is an unsustainable and largely unattainable way of living. As we've touched on a few times, having a disciplined mind helps provide guidance when you least expect it, but need it the most. If someone else lets you down, it's the discipline which will keep you going. Besides, it's okay to admit that adult life is scary. You can do everything right, but still be dealt a poor hand. But self-discipline is the one thing you can hold on to and use as a pillar for progress. Even watching this video takes self-discipline. This is not the shortest video in the world. If you've got to this point and listened to everything I've said, then you should pat yourself on the back. Merely watching a video to its end shows a certain level of discipline already. This video has discussed how vital self-discipline is for achieving success. However, regardless of how successful you are trying to be in whatever way, self-discipline is a tool to help you feel safe, because when your back is up against the wall, there's security in knowing you have the equipment necessary to navigate the choppy seas and get back on track. Moreover, the comfort in knowing how maintained self-discipline keeps life going in a normal manner is security in itself. After all, humans need the discipline to keep everything trundling along nicely. So, whether you commit to exercising 3 days a week or simply turn down the allure of a distraction, know that you're experiencing the benefits of self-discipline. It affects everything we do. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. A new year is on the horizon. This is a time when many people start to think about what changes they can make through goals or personal resolutions. What's the difference between a goal and a resolution? Well, a resolution tends to be a starting point, such as making yourself a pledge to begin exercising more or eat better. A goal is more focused on a specific endpoint, such as losing 10 pounds in 6 months or walking for 20 minutes every evening after dinner. A goal has planned steps and measurable success. So this year, when you think about what you want to accomplish in 2024, you might consider setting goals instead of New Year's resolutions. But where do you start? Reflect on 2023. To know where you're going, it can help to know where you've been. Research has shown that reflecting on your past endeavours can improve your future performance. It can't change the past, but you can learn from it. Notice your patterns and habits, both good and bad. When you know your strengths and weaknesses, you can identify what's working for you and what's working against you. For example, if you're a person who rises early in the morning and starts the day with vigour and enthusiasm, then that's a habit you'll want to continue. But if you identify other areas of your life that are holding you back, such as fears, unhealthy food choices, or toxic relationships, you can examine these behaviours and think about how you might want to change them. Some topics you might choose to reflect on, depending on what's relevant to you, could be your health, your career, your relationships, self-care, and personal growth. Journaling about your personal thoughts on the past year can help put things into perspective. Some examples of questions to ask yourself are things like, how did I spend the majority of my time and how do I feel about that? What was the best thing that happened to me in the past year? What were my biggest achievements? What was my lowest point and why? What lessons did I learn? And what might I do differently next year? What was I most thankful for? What goals did I have that didn't happen? And do I want to carry them over to next year? By reflecting on the feelings and events of 2023, you can begin to form a picture of what happened and why. Take the information you gather from your observations and create a new plan. Set SMART, S-M-A-R-T, goals. Once you've identified what areas of your life you want to focus on, then begin the planning process. Deciding what your goal is, setting an end date to accomplish it, and writing down the steps you'll take can help create a solid plan. One method often used to help formulate goals is called the SMART system and was outlined in an article written in 1981 by George Doran, Arthur Miller, and James Cunningham. 5 key aspects of the acronym SMART are specific. Have a defined goal with a clear picture of what is to be accomplished and what actions you will take to achieve it. For example, if your goal is to buy a new car, know exactly what car you want and how you will pay for it. Make a step-by-step plan that includes saving money each month for a down payment and arranging your budget to include the new car payment. By factoring in details of your plan, you can be clear about what it is you want and how to get there. Measurable. Think about how you will track your progress. Once you know what your goal is, you need to be able to measure your success along the way to be sure you are reaching your milestones. In thinking of the car scenario, checking each month to be sure you are putting money aside for the down payment can create momentum as you watch your savings grow. If you are not able to save money each month, then you can use this information to restructure your goal. Achievable. Be realistic about the goals you set. Smaller goals may be met more easily in less time, but a large goal, like buying the car, may need more steps or more planning. You may need to extend the end date to give yourself more time to save up the money, or adjust your expectations and buy a lower-priced car. Breaking a large goal into smaller steps can keep you going over a longer period of time and make the overall task more manageable. If the goal you set requires additional skills or education, these can be made into individual goals of their own. Relevant. When setting a goal, choose something that really matters to you. If it will make a difference in your life, such as better health, improved finances, or make life easier and more enjoyable in some way, you will be more likely to stick with it. If your heart's not in it, it may be hard to justify the time and energy you need to invest to reach the goal. Time-bound. Setting a finish line for your goal lets you know how close you are to achieving it, and when you have actually completed the goal. It allows you to plan your steps in a timely fashion that makes it manageable and measurable. By setting goals using the SMART method, SMART, you can focus with intention. Using a step-by-step plan, track your success along the way and reach a clearly defined finish line. Some people add ER to the SMART SMART method, which then reads smarter, to include the words evaluate and reward. Evaluating your finished goal and rewarding your efforts can bring even more value to the process. Another method used in goal setting uses the acronym FAST, FAST, which stands for frequent discussions, ambitious scope, specific milestones, and transparency. This system is more geared for team environments and allows for flexibility and changes along the way. Regardless of what system you use to set goals, the main thing is to find something that works for you, and don't quit. Mountain climber Yunko Tabai was the first woman to complete the 7 summits, climbing the tallest mountain on each continent. She was familiar with setting goals and achieving them, which is reflected in her motto, "Do not give up, keep on your quest." Prioritize. How do you decide what goals to set? Maybe you don't have very many goals in mind, or maybe you have so many you don't know where to start. When planning goals for the coming year, it may be helpful to think about what's really important to you. Setting a goal that will make a difference in your life will be easier to get excited about. Make a list of all of the goals that come to mind. It may be helpful to group them into similar topics. For example, in the health category, you may list things like weight loss, exercise, and healthy eating. In the fun goal category, you may write down travel ideas, learning a new craft or sport, or adopting a pet. Once you have all of your ideas on paper, rank them within their group as to which are most meaningful or realistic for you. Continue to narrow down the list until you have 5 goals that you want to work on next year. Once you know which items are most important to you, you can then begin to plan the steps to achieve them. Author C.S. Lewis wrote, "You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream." As you look forward to 2024, think about the goals you have for your life and how you want to achieve them. Find support and encouragement from people you trust. Evaluate your progress often and hold yourself accountable to succeed. The coming year is the perfect time to reach new heights by setting goals that matter most to you. So go ahead and plan the celebration now. You got this. Would you like a 2-page PDF summary of this video? Click here and I'll send it over to you. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week. Do you have a bad habit or two? Most people do. While good habits can be helpful and make it easier to live happy, healthy lives, bad habits can make things more difficult to achieve our goals and to be the people we want to be. So, if you have a bad habit that's creating problems for you, it should be easy to just stop doing it, right? Well, no. As most people would agree, it's not that easy. Stopping a bad habit can be nearly impossible, depending on how deeply rooted or physically addictive that habit may be. But turning it into a better habit could be the trick to making the change. So, how do you change a bad habit into a good habit? Be aware. To start with, make an assessment of your regular routines and habits. Become aware of what's working for you and what's not. Identifying your bad habits is the first step to changing them. We all have both good and bad habits, and the difference is in whether they're doing something for you or against you. Good habits help us maintain good health, produce quality work, and support our relationships. Basically, that's anything that improves our lives and keeps us moving in the direction of our goals. Bad habits are those things that toss our roadblocks and challenges to who and where we'd like to be. If it undermines your health, causes you to procrastinate, or negatively impacts your life in some other way, then that's a habit you might want to change. Habits are important, says author Jack D. Hodge. Up to 90% of our everyday behavior is based on habit. Nearly all of what we do each day, every day, is simply habit. Many of our habits have become so automatic, we hardly notice them. Once our brains become accustomed to a habit, it becomes easy for us to do things without even thinking. Sometimes that can be helpful, so we can think about other things while doing simple tasks like brushing our teeth and tying our shoes. We don't think about it. We just do it because it's become a habit. But habits like smoking, reaching for snacks when you're stressed, or biting your nails are not in your best interest, even though it's easy for you. So while some habits can be beneficial to help us through our day with ease, what do we do about those other habits? The ones that are not so helpful. What triggers you? Once you're aware of the habit you want to change, ask yourself some questions about the nature of the habit. Things like, when does it happen? How many times a day? Where are you when you do this habit? Who are you with? How are you feeling? Take a look at what cues you respond to that cause you to act. Think about when it happens. Does it relate to a certain situation or person? Does it occur when you are sad or anxious? Do specific places bring about the urge to indulge in this habit? With every habit, there are three things: the trigger, the action, and the reward. This creates the habit loop. The thing that triggers you is what starts the cycle. For example, if you become anxious when you get a phone call from your boss, and that makes you want to bite your fingernails, the anxious feeling is the trigger. Similarly, if you always have a cigarette right after you eat, then finishing a meal is the trigger. If you know what triggers the habit, you may be able to avoid some things. But that's not always possible. You can't avoid meals in order to not be triggered to smoke afterwards. So, simply eliminating all triggers isn't a realistic option. Some people have tried using willpower to overcome a bad habit, but that's not usually very effective. It may have short-term success, but over time, willpower fades and habits return. So then what? You have identified a habit you want to change. You know what triggers you to do the thing you don't want to do. And willpower has only short-term effects. So how do you stop your bad habit? Disrupt and replace. The next step in the habit loop is the action itself. It's easier to replace a bad habit with a better one than to eliminate the response altogether. So by changing the way you do something or making a different choice, you can make big changes in a positive way. For example, if the trigger is your mood, like feeling stressed or anxious, then your next step might be that you grab a bag of chips or a box of cookies. If this has been your habit for quite a while, it's difficult to not just reach for the familiar comfort food that you're used to. Doing nothing would probably feel unbearable to you. So think about what you could do instead. Could you have an apple? Or some other healthy choice? You might find that by replacing one habit with a healthier option, you can feel the same reward, rather than denying the habit altogether. If eating the cookies is too much of a temptation, you might try not having them in the house in the first place. In one research study on the habit of smoking, they found that cigarette sales decreased when they no longer displayed them at the cash registers. The fact that they were readily available and in plain sight had contributed to being a trigger for smokers. Our brains like things to be easy for us. If you have the habit of checking your phone when you're in bed, try leaving it in another room. By changing your environment, you could change the outcome. Rewards. Your actions become habits when you are getting something out of it. You are rewarding yourself and look forward to those rewards. Then it becomes a habit. But you can use the reward system to defeat bad habits by giving yourself a different reward. For example, instead of that, try this. Instead of processed sweets, try fruit. Instead of a cigarette, try chewing gum. Instead of biting your nails, try journaling. Instead of succumbing to boredom, go for a walk. By using replacement techniques to reward yourself, you may be able to turn some bad habits into good ones. Philosopher Socrates said, "The secret of change is to focus all your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new." Change for the long term. By creating a new lifestyle habit, you can create a new you. It's not hard to give up something for a short time, but if the goal is to change the bad habit for good, you will need to make it a permanent new choice. Psychologist Wendy Wood said, "Your brain requires up to 3 months of daily repetition to develop the neural pathway that automates a behavior. So, changing a habit doesn't happen overnight. But once you can identify what you want to change and start the process, you can see results over time. When you figure out the habit loop, you can begin to follow a new plan and watch what happens. Then continue to apply the same process to any habit you want to change. Start with the basic sentence, "When I," name your trigger, "I," name your action, so that I can get reward. Now, fill in those blanks with new choices. Best-selling author and motivational speaker Dennis Waitley wrote, "The truth is, you don't break a bad habit. You replace it with a good one." By changing the way you react to your triggers and replace them with better actions and rewards, you can make long-lasting lifestyle changes. Persistence is necessary when attempting to change a bad habit. It takes time to create new neural pathways, but once your brain has learned the routine, you can continue to reinforce it with more good habits. Benjamin Franklin said, "It's easier to prevent bad habits than to break them." Being mindful of what habits you establish to start with can help you to work easily and successfully with your good habits, and not have to work so hard at transforming the ones you want to change. Would you like the full illustration from this video? Click here and I'll send it right over. If you are already subscribed to my free Art of Improvement email newsletter, then there's a copy of it already waiting in your inbox. Thank you for watching and have an awesome week.